Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, August 4th, 2013. This is episode 1002. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used Samsung Galaxy, iPhone, or other smartphone is worth at Gazelle.com. And by LegalZoom.com. Go to LegalZoom.com for affordable legal solutions you can trust. LegalZoom can provide self-help services at your specific direction or connect you with an attorney. They're not a law firm, but they are great. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the promo code TechGuy to get $10 off at checkout. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time to talk about computers and the internet and that kind of stuff. Although really nowadays, the most interesting computers are not on your desktop or even on your lap. They're in your pocket or in your purse or in your fanny pack. I'm talking about mobile computing. We talk a lot about that. Cell phones, pads, iPads, tablets of all kinds. Certainly, we talk about home theater, digital photography too. All of that, anytime you just call me and you say, hey, Leo, what about? Or what does that mean? Or which do you like? Or help me. Help me. The phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO, 8888-275536. Sorry about all the noise going on. I have the new Moto X phone, which listens to me. And it kind of talks to you also, apparently, and it's making some noises and so forth. This is the phone that everybody has been kind of talking a lot about, both pro and cons. The first phone from Motorola since Google bought them. They announced some phones last week that were left over in the pipeline from before the Google acquisition, the Droid phones. But this is the Moto X. And you've probably already seen some press about it. They finally announced it on Thursday. And the idea of this, there are a couple of ideas. Some are just ideas that will appeal to consumers, things like that you can completely customize the back. Unfortunately, they made a deal with all the carriers. It'll be on Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, T-Mobile, even U.S. Cellular, sometime in the next couple of weeks. I'm betting around August 23rd. But, so exactly, 3 weeks from the announcement. But only AT&T will have the customization features at first. They gave him an exclusive. I guess to get on the carrier, they had to give him something. But that'll allow you to choose from 17 different back colors. There are accent colors in the metals and the trims. You'll be able to customize the boot-up sequence. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And engrave it and so forth. There's even, and I don't know how you get this, there's a wooden back, which I think there's a couple of different wooden backs, which I kind of like. It's kind of silly, but I just like the idea. If you buy it from the carriers, Verizon, AT&T in the stores, T-Mobile, Sprint, and that sort of thing, T-Mobile's not going to sell it in their stores. You'll have to buy it from Google and then use a T-Mobile SIM in it. But if you do buy it from those locations, you'll be black or white. It'll be much simpler. But that's not the most interesting thing about the phone. The most interesting thing about the phone is that they've designed it very interestingly. With both hardware and software, so that even when it's off and sitting in your pocket, you can talk to it. You wake it up by saying, okay, Google now. And then it comes alive. It says hello, and right now it's saying hi, Leo. And then it listens for what you say after that and performs a search or does an action based on it. So, for instance, I can say, okay, Google now, who is Leo Laporte? And because I'm in Wikipedia, it will read to me the entry. Oh, because I kept talking. It got, who is Leo Laporte? And because I'm in Wikipedia. Let me do it again without saying more stuff. Okay, Google now. Who is Leo Laporte? Be quiet. Be very quiet.
According to Wikipedia, Leo Gordon Laporte is an Emmy Award-winning American technology broadcaster, author, and entrepreneur.
And all of that without touching the phone. So you could say things like, okay, Google now, is it going to rain today?
Rain is not expected today in Petaluma. The forecast is 64 degrees and partly cloudy.
That's kind of cool that you can, and it'll do that in your pocket or while you're driving if you just leave it in the, next to you on the seat. So it's kind of an interesting idea. And I think to me, this is the most interesting thing, not only about this phone, but about where Google's going. Because Google did demonstrate the same kind of capability on the desktop in their Chrome browser. They haven't released it widely yet. It's available to some in a test form. But the idea that you could speak to the browser without, touching anything. You're doing something else and you say, "Okay, Google now, how tall is Yao Ming?" And the thing would just kind of say it to you. Actually, I see. I got in a It heard the So you have to be a little careful. And that's one of the problems I have with these kinds of systems is they're not smart. It's a computer. So you have to know exactly the syntax, not exactly, but pretty close to the syntax. You also, more importantly, have to know what it can and cannot do. This is the same with Apple's Siri. It's a very whizzy kind of a thing. It's fun to show people. But will you do it all the time? Now, F and Dunn in our chat room says, every time Leo says, "Okay, Google now," phones are waking up all over. No, they're not, because one of the things you do when you get the phone is you train it to your voice. And that's kind of cool because it doesn't hear other people. It only hears you. Or, as I found, I have a few coworkers whose voices are similar to mine. It works for them, too. I don't know why. Josh Windish, who helps us with the website, it works for him. But he says only when he's imitating me. So apparently he does a good imitation. It's a very interesting technology, whether it's on the desktop or on a phone. It's very Star Trek. And I think, the problem with Siri is Apple didn't do much with it after it released it. It didn't go any farther. It just kind of left it. It let it lie. I don't think Google's going to do that. I would imagine more and more capabilities built into this thing to the point where it becomes a personal assistant in your pocket. And that's kind of intriguing. If you could say, "Where am I?" or "How do I get home?" or actually, you can do that right now. "Okay, Google now, give me walking directions to my home." And now it actually got directions to my house, which I probably shouldn't play over the air. Unless you want to go walking over to my house and rob me blind while I'm at work. That would be a bad idea, wouldn't it? But it did, in fact, give me walking directions to my house. So that's kind of intriguing. By the way, I've been asking it, "Okay, Google now, who's the new Doctor Who?" And it doesn't know yet. So maybe later in the show we'll ask. That's the Moto X phone. It's going to be available. See, it thinks I'm talking to it. Did I say, "Okay, Google now"? I must have. See, every time you say, "Okay, Google now," it wakes up and says what? Now, some people are saying, "Wow, I don't want my phone always on with a recorder in the pocket." And I don't blame you, especially in this day and age when we're also worried about the government spying on us. Yes, I know. I said your name. Shh. But Google says, and I think this is the case, and we will be able to verify this sooner or later once we can start watching the network traffic. That's not so hard to do. That it doesn't, in fact, send everything back. It's internally, there's a chip in the phone that's sitting and listening, and this is why you have to train it to hear that specific phrase. It knows what that phrase looks like, the waveform, and it just spends its whole time just looking for that phrase. Once that phrase is heard, it then triggers the call the network and give it whatever else Leo said after that point. So it isn't always listening in the sense that Google's always listening. The phone's always listening, but it's just the phone. At least that's what Google says, and I have no reason not to think that's true. That does not seem to affect battery life. That was a concern some people had. "Oh, yeah, phone always on, that's going to kill the battery life." Because they've designed a very sophisticated system on a chip that a very low-power chip is the only thing that's paying any attention. And, in fact, that's been the case. I've had it for 3 days now, but the battery life has been as good as, if not better than anything else, including my iPhone. Gets me through about 16 or 17 hours on a single charge, even with heavy use. When you get a new phone, you play with it, like I'm doing right now. You play with it a lot. You turn it on, you look at the screen, you admire it. So this is the phone I was very excited about. I was telling people, you might want to wait and see. There's still a wait and see, I'm sorry to say, because we haven't heard what the new iPhone is going to be like, and that's going to be in the next month or so. And I expect new phones from Samsung, yes. The Galaxy Note 3. If you like a really big phone, we're expecting that September 4th. And even HTC is expected to announce a really big version of its premier phone, a very nice phone, the HTC One. This is probably the phone many people are saying is the best phone, the phone to beat. There's a lot of good phones out there right now. This is all good for everybody. But I'm just fascinated by this idea of being able to talk to your devices and having them respond automatically. That, to me, is futuristic. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
And my coffee has arrived. Thank you very much, my friend.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
When it comes to backing up your computer files, there are two very important...
Somebody said, try this. Okay, Google now. I've fallen and I can't get up. Let's see what it does. I don't think it's going to do anything. Well, now it's really thinking. It's calling 911. I hope not. Let me try that again. Okay. Oh, see, it was recognizing everything. That's the one thing you have to learn is to stop talking. Okay, Google now. I've fallen and I can't get up. See, medic alert. Wikipedia, I've fallen and I can't get up. So that's what it'll do. If it doesn't have an action that it can perform, it just does a search.
It doesn't have any attitude like Siri?
It has some attitude. Okay, Google now, who am I? Maybe I did that too fast. Who am I? This is the first time it's been... And then it gives me amnesia treatment centers. So that's a little attitude. That's attitude, right? This is not the same as Google Now on the iPad. In this, it is. They have added some features, and they have also. I mean, for instance, I can do Google Now on the iPad, and some of the things I can do on this it won't do. But the most important thing is to do Google Now on the iPad. I have to turn on the iPad. I have to unlock it. I have to go to Google Search. And then I have to tap the button. And then I have to say, you see, that there's somewhat of a difference. The point to me is not so much the Google Now part. The point to me is, although that is, I think, a big part of Google's play, is that it's always listening and that you don't have to touch anything. Okay, Google Now, where are the droids I'm looking for? Yeah, and so this is the first result. Oh, I haven't chosen a browser. I hope I can show this. Let's see. No, I can't. I guess I kind of could. Thank you, Google Now, for that helpful suggestion. Okay, Google Now, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything?
The answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42.
Okay, so that's good. That's right. That's the correct answer. Calculations are great. Okay, Google Now, what's 15% of $1.50? Oh, it didn't do it. That's interesting. Okay, Google Now, what is $100 in euros?
100 US dollars equals 75 euros and 27 cents.
That would be useful, right? I'm looking forward to, and I suspect that Google, because they do have the Google Translate, I'm looking forward to being able to say, okay, Google Now, where is the bathroom in French? And having it say that. I think that's going to happen.
Here is your translation.
Now, it doesn't say it. It's actually really not. Well, I guess that's okay. That's colloquial. It'd be great if it said it, though, huh? But that will be useful. Okay, Google Now, how do I say I'd like to find the Louvre in French? Yeah, see. I think you have to know the syntax on this. Oh, actually, it cut it off. So that's the other thing, is it only does a certain amount. It won't listen for a real long time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo. That's the number. Let's talk high tech. Our call screener in position, ready to field your calls. Heather Hammond, a good day to you. Wait a minute, there's somebody in there with you.
Oh,
Are you allowed to have people in the booth with you?
I thought you said I could.
Kim is here to training, right?
Yes,
Yeah, not that you're leaving, but someday you may want to take a vacation.
exactly. I'm not going anywhere. So this is Kim. Lean
Hi,
in.
Kim. Nice to meet you, Kim.
Camera
Hi.
21.
Yeah, say hi to
Sorry.
camera 21. It's radio. Kim's saying, wait a minute, it's radio.
I know.
Yeah, I don't understand.
She-
There's cameras everywhere. You may not escape.
So you want to talk to Mike in Chula Vista?
If you say I should, I will.
He's got a great question.
All right, let's go to line 4. Mike in Chula Vista. Thank you, Heather. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I have a couple of phones in mind to use on a no contract pay as you go carrier like Ting,
Yeah.
and I'd like to know what you think of the phones.
Okay. And I should mention up front, Ting is a sponsor.
Yeah, that's where I heard about it.
Yeah, and we're big fans of them. They're what they are is technically called an MVNO, a mobile virtual network operator, which translates. I don't know why the tech industry is so full of obscure acronyms. It translates into somebody who resells Sprint service. And what are the phones?
Well, one uses gingerbread.
I'm not a fan. So this is a version 2 of the Android operating system. We're now up to version 4.
What's that? Ice cream sandwich?
Yeah, a jelly bean.
Jelly bean.
So they name them after desserts. So,
Well, I guess the question is it okay to get a phone that has an old operating system?
Well, okay, so what you give up is, of course, you don't have a lot of the features of the newer operating system, and some of the things that I talk about, like that Google Now, require later versions. The good news is, depending on the phone, it's often easy to update the operating system. Android phones are kind of just like Windows machines. You can unlock them. You can what we call root them, which gives you administrator permissions on it, and then you can install a different operating system. And older Android phones, if they were popular, tend to have available to them newer operating systems from people like Cyanogen. He was one of the first hackers of Android phones, and the Cyanogen mod is always up to date. So you could get Jelly Bean on almost any phone. Now, there may be an issue because the phone may not be as responsive as you like, because it not only is it an old operating system, but it's probably an old computer. It's just like computers. I have Windows 95 on my computer. Can I put Windows 8 on it? Yeah. Will it run well? No. So it's somewhat similar to that. What's the brand or the model of the phone?
It's the LG Optimus Elite.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad phone, actually. In fact, later LG Optimus became Google's Nexus 4, which is in many ways, the best-loved phone of all time. So you're probably all right on that. What's the other model?
It's a refurbished model. It's the LG Optimus for $68.
Yeah, I'd probably go with the more recent Optimus. I don't know what the difference is between the Optimus and the Optimus Elite. But get the most recent. Get the most recent one you can get. Would be my recommendation. If price is an object, it's not bad. I mean, these aren't going to be bad. It's just you're not going to be. It's just like having Windows, XP. Oh, of course, now remember, Gingerbread is only a few years old. Windows XP is like 10 years old, but the time frame is much accelerated in portable devices. In fact, it's very interesting. This is why Apple's getting lapped a little bit, if you think about it, is they're only updating their phone every year. Android phones are being updated monthly, it seems. There's a new feature, a new stuff. So if you can get the Optimus L9, which is basically the Nexus 4, that would be a great one, and you absolutely can put the latest Jelly Bean on it and would run beautifully. I would look around. One of the things Ting will let you do is bring an existing Sprint phone over. So you might be able to buy a phone from somebody, a friend or family member, an old Sprint phone that you could use. You don't have to just get it from Ting. Read up on the Ting website on the other phones you can use. I'll tell you, I do recommend Ting. They are an advertiser. It's a good way to get an inexpensive pay-as-you-go data plan without contract. The price, of course, does not include the phone. And it highlights really a deceptive feature of the cell phone business right now, which is, it seems like people talk about, there's a $200 phone, it's a $50 phone, it's a free phone. No, it's not. These are subsidized prices because remember, when you go to AT&T or Sprint or T-Mobile or Verizon, you're going to pay at least $60, $70 a month for using that phone. So they're looking ahead at 2 years at $60 a month. They're looking ahead, at $1,500. That's the real cost of the phone. And so they're subsidizing the cost of that phone. If you were to go out and buy a new Android phone, it'd be more expensive than an inexpensive computer. It'd be $500, $600, $700. And that's the true cost. So Ting doesn't hide that fact from you. Fortunately, you can get used, refurbished phones as well as brand new phones. You're paying the actual cost of the phone, and you're not paying it over the life of the contract, which is why Ting can go month to month. They don't care. You own the phone. You want to stop after a month? No problem. But that's it's very clever. I mean, it's economic psychology there. The phone companies are playing on you. And now, of course, and you'll see a lot of advertising coming up. T-Mobile's starting to push their Jump program. Verizon and Sprint responded with a similar program that lets you upgrade every 6 months. But if you do the math on those, they're even more expensive. If you want to upgrade your phone every 6 months, it's going to cost you around $3,000 over the 2-year period. It is not cheaper. So it's very hard to see what the actual price of these phones is. And when you do get the actual price, when you buy it outright, and that's usually what I do, I'll go and buy an unlocked version of a phone because I don't want the carrier stuff on it. You pay through the nose. My Galaxy S4 was about $700 because I wasn't getting a subsidy from a carrier. I went and I bought it online at Expansys, which is where I go. There are a number of places. Amazon Wireless does this too. And when you pay the real price, woof. Okay, they're about to announce the new doctor, so those of you who are real nerds may leave the show for a moment. The rest of us will continue on. Hey, should I say or should I keep it a secret? Should we spoil it for people? Oh, here he comes, the new doctor. I now know who it is. Should I say? Is it a secret? Do you want to know? Okay, close your ears if you're Doctor Who fans. It's Peter Capaldi. Okay, now you can listen again. I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is, John? Are you excited? John's a Doctor Who fan. He was in the top 5 of the betting line in London. It's amazing. By the way, it's out. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Google+, I don't understand. It's the corniest show I've ever seen in my life. It's the most cornball show. I don't get it. But, man, geeks love it. Who? Doctor Who. Who's that? He doesn't ever call himself Doctor Who, does he? He says, I'm the Doctor.
Right. His name is the
Doctor. He's the last Time Lord.
Frequently the question comes up, Doctor Who?
8888 Ask Leo. We'll go on with the phone calls right after this word. It's a kids show? Oh, I like him. What's he from? Wait a minute. Let's see. Okay, Google now. Who is Peter Capaldi? See if it reads his name.
According to Wikipedia, Peter Doggan Capaldi is a Scottish actor and film director.
He's a Scottish actor and film director. He looks familiar. What was he in? He does look very familiar. Some were hoping for a woman. Hey, it's almost like a woman. You got a Scot. It won't be the first Scot. Oh, he's the guy from In the Loop, from the thick of it, right? He was the guy who could swear up a storm in the Loop. That's who he is. I've seen him before. He's great. He's a hoot. Did you ever see that movie? He's very funny. He was the World Health Doctor from World War Z, huh? George Takei should have been the new Doctor Who. Oh, my. Dr. Hoot. I actually quite like him. Have you ever seen In the Loop? That's a great movie. He swears up. Russell Brand wouldn't want it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm falling for it. I'm falling for the Whovian speculation. Her Royal Highness the Sioux says, I'll give him a chance. I was still hoping for a female doctor. There's no reason why not. The doctor regenerates every few years, right? Oh, they're showing tweets now. That's pretty funny. His last role was a WHO doctor in World War Z. Okay. Now we're talking, huh? See what I mean? Samuel L. Jackson would have been a good Doctor Who. Somebody in the chat room said that. So, Kim, what do you think so far? You think you can do this?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, not so hard. You just have to be mean.
she's being very nice.
Are you being nice, Heather? I told you to be mean.
What? You know I'm always nice.
What?
I just act like I'm tough sometimes, but not so much.
Wait, no, we're not replacing Heather. No, this is Heather needs a fill-in in case her car
Oh,
breaks
look
down.
at
Kim lives nearer than Heather does.
The rumor mill is going
I know
crazy.
already.
Yeah.
This is the hard. Kim, the truth is that the real training is getting used to the chat room, the
Yeah.
cameras, the weirdness of this.
This place is awesome, though.
Thank you.
I've never seen anything like it.
It's a nice studio. I worked at so many crappy radio studios with padded walls and no and just vanilla, no beige, no any.
I'm very familiar with
Yeah, and air conditioned, no air, no windows, nothing.
Exactly.
That I thought it'd be nice to build a studio I actually wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And people come in, they say, "Where's the soundproofing?" You don't need sound. Does it sound like I need soundproofing? I don't need soundproofing.
You're like, microphones have come a long way.
Yeah.
Actually, they were always pretty awesome, right?
No. You sound like you're in a studio and you're in a giant room.
Yeah. That's funny, and it's a good point because I had my little home studio and I bothered to buy
Everybody
the
does.
baffling.
Yeah.
And Bill Hickey, our man down at Premiere, said, you don't really need that. I got you a really good microphone.
Good for him. Good
But
for
still,
him.
I kind of like that look because I got it in a
I
really
know.
pretty color.
Well, Bob Bergen was saying that. He's got a little booth that he has to go into and record in. He said, "Oh, yeah, you could never do the voiceover stuff in your studio." I think so. I beg to differ. So we're going to get Kim in the chat room. You've been in the chat room, H-Bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should get her in
People
there.
were already chiming in with ideas for her name.
Kim Bomb? K-Bomb?
And H-Bomb 2.0.
2.0.
She didn't like KY jelly.
You look like you could be sisters, so it's good. I like it.
You're like the second person to say that to
It's really true. Look at them, don't they?
I thought, why not get someone sort of similar so it doesn't really
People
throw
wouldn't
you off?
notice.
Yeah.
They go, "Oh, Heather's again."
We'll just give her a little ginger wig.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Welcome. Come on in. What's your name?
More fans.
Hi, Matt. How are you? Nice to meet you.
I'll give you the.
I'm so sorry. Your
number
dad
and the
dragged
name
you
of
here,
the
huh?
box.
Leo.
I'll try it out.
Hi, how are you? Good. Oh, good. Welcome. You from San Francisco?
No, we're from Chagrin Falls.
There, go ahead.
Oh, you see, that's what happens. People come to San Francisco in the middle of the summer. You're wearing shorts. You're wearing a short sleeve shirt. They freeze, so they buy a San Francisco jacket. It's a scam.
That ugly one with the cable car on it.
He's wearing
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
Be nice. She says that ugly one with a cable car on it. No, he's got the bridge on it, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
that's
got
a
the
good
bridge.
one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Nice recovery.
As long as you're going to do it, just drop a few
I love it.
bucks, right?
I love it because you drive over the bridge. Yeah. Thank you. Yep. You drive over the bridge and you see all the tourists freezing in their shorts. It's summertime. The problem with YouTube Live for us is that they won't let you have embedded commercials. So I'm kind of going back and forth on whether we should even try it. Hey, can I mention Gazelle just real quickly? So there's all these new phones, the Moto X, the Note 3, the next iPhone. They're on their way. This is going to be a very busy season, and maybe you're thinking, I'd like to get one of them their new phones, but what do you do with the old one? Don't throw it in the drawer to gather dust. That's worth money on Gazelle. Gazelle buys even broken iPhones, iPads, cell phones from BlackBerry, HTC, LG, Motorola, Nokia, and Samsung, as well as iPhones. All the versions of the iPad. What if what do you say you got an iPad mini? Say, I'd really like to get a Nexus 7. What is my iPad mini worth? I'm just curious. $220. So I can get a Nexus 7 for $9. How about that, huh? And by the way, when you send it to Gazelle, they pay the postage, Anything worth more than $1, they pay the postage, and their data experts will wipe it for you. And if they look at it and say, hey, that's in better condition than you said, they'll even send you more money. I've seen it happen many times. Your iPod Touch, how much is that worth? Just curiosity. It's in good condition. Not perfect. No engraving. $128. Now throw that in the box. It doesn't take long to get to $1,000. Stuff that's just gathering dust. Now, here's the deal. You can get a check, of course, PayPal for a quick payment. Or if you buy a lot on Amazon, I would get an Amazon gift card because they bump at 5%. You've got 30 days to take advantage of the offer or not. You're not locked in. So get the price now just to find out. And then if in the next 30 days something comes out you want, you're guaranteed it. GAZELLE.com. They're buying a larger selection of tablets now, including the Samsung Google Nexus, Kinder Fire. Your old Nexus. Oh, I should get my old Nexus. What was I thinking? Well, I'll do this on my time, not yours. Gazelle's paid $100 million to 500,000 customers. GAZELLE.com. Keep it moving with Gazelle. This isn't going to be worth much because it was only $200 when I bought it. Hey, that's actually pretty good. Recover $50 out of that. That's good. So no, the Moto X is about as close to a Google experience as possible. This is the AT&T one. It has two AT&T apps, My AT&T and the AT&T Messages, and two Motorola apps, which you will want. One is Motorola Assist and one is the Migrate app. And that's it. So it's not loaded with bloatware. There's about 12 gigs out of the 16 gigs free. It's very compact. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. George in Houston, Texas. Hey, George, Leo Laporte.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good. Before I ask my question, did you know that you were on ABC News last weekend?
I saw, no, I didn't see ABC. I saw CNN. Was it the raccoon tossing incident?
Yes. Wow.
I should explain. I did not toss a raccoon. My friend Kevin Rose, who's very well known as an entrepreneur. He works at Google Ventures now, but he started Dig. And he was caught on security camera. His dog was out in 1 a.m. and got in a fight with a raccoon, and Kevin came barreling down the stairs and picked up the raccoon and hurled it. And now I have to say he wasn't exactly caught. He took the video from the security cameras and posted it on YouTube. And I don't know but the last time I looked, it was well over 6 million views on there. And now he's made it to CNN and ABC. And I guess we were the first to interview him. And instead of this is the future of news. Instead of bothering to get an interview with him, they just go, hey, let's take that video from Twit. We can use that.
Yeah, wow.
I don't mind. I'm glad. I'm happy. Anyway, that's funny. Yeah, that's good.
But I was going to ask you, there's plenty of programs out there when you create MP3 files or download them. You can take the tag information out of them, but I want to do just the opposite. I want to create an MP3 file and add like title and artist, that kind of thing to it. How do you do that?
Are you on Windows or Mac?
Windows.
So almost any MP3 program like iTunes or Media Monkey will let you do that, but there are better programs that are dedicated to that, and I'll tell you the one I used for years. It's free. It's called MP3 Tag. It's from mp3tag.de, and it lets you do batch tagging. It does a lot more than it also works with a variety of formats, not just MP3, but AAC, FLAC, OGG, so forth.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I looked over for such a thing. I couldn't find one.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons there aren't a lot of them is because iTunes will do it and Media Monkey will do it. Most of the MP3 player software programs will do it. But this is the one I use because it's just it's a power tool. mp3tag.de. We put all this stuff, by the way, I should mention if you're in the car and you go, wait, let me write that down. No, please, keep driving. Don't write that down. We put it all on the website so you don't have to write it down. James DeRuvo writes it down for you. James is listening, scribbling, and then at the end of the day, Josh Windish in my office will take it, put audio and video next to it so you can go question by question if you want. And I would love it if you would add to it, you can comment. So if you say, hey, well, I use XYZ tagger, I like it better, please put that in the comments. That way the website gets more valuable over time. Always free, no charge to use it, no charge for the podcasts. I know a lot of radio shows charge subscription fees. We do not, thanks to our great sponsors. It's techguylabs.com. That's the only website you have to remember. techguylabs.com. Jerry, Big Bear Lake, California. You're next. Hi, Jerry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Jerry.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, not much. I was going to ask you how the weather was, but thanks to your demo at the beginning there, I know it's not going to rain there.
Okay, Google now. What's the weather in Petaluma? I could actually ask it, what's the weather in Big Bear Lake, and it would tell me. Yeah. What do you think of that? Now, a lot of people are very skeptical about this phone. They say it costs too much. It's, quote, mid-range specs. I don't know really what that's supposed to mean, but they were...
I tell you what,
Would you like a phone that's always listening in your pocket?
I don't think so. I got Google Now on my Galaxy Nexus, and I don't use it.
Yeah. This is one of the things that I found that with Siri, too, is that, it's a great thing to show off. But then when it comes down to day-to-day use, you always, you just never think of it. I find myself,
yes.
I have been, because I've been using Android phones for some time now, and I found this was true also with Siri. I will dictate text messages a lot. I will dictate emails a lot. It's not certainly perfect, but it's sure a lot. I have big, fat fingers. It's sure a lot easier to do that than to try to type on those little keyboards. So
I find the same.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch the movie on TV when I got the DVD sitting right next to my player.
Convenience is everything, isn't it? It's everything.
It's just a laziness factor, I think, is what it is.
Well, I don't know that. I think we shouldn't berate ourselves. I think it's natural for us. There was a lot. Life is busy. We got a lot to do. We're working hard. When you could take a shortcut, when you can make it easier on yourself, you do.
Exactly.
So what can I do for you? Yeah.
Quick question. I am changing gears with my business. I own a business up there selling security products and home automation equipment, and I'm starting from scratch. I'm going to rebuild my website from scratch. I'm going to put instructional videos on the website on how to install these things for yourself, make your house a tricked-out house.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Good for you.
This is my question to you. I'm starting from scratch here, so I would like to know your recommendations on some website creation websites. In other words, hope you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
Like Foursquare, those kind of companies.
Yeah.
But I also want to sell the products, and I know Foursquare doesn't have the greatest.
Squarespace is the one. You're thinking of Squarespace, and they have a very good commerce platform now. That's new.
Okay.
So,
what are your recommendation on which ones you recommend the best?
Yeah, I like Squarespace. Now we got sponsor alert, disclaimer. They do buy ads, but I'm really a fan. The nice thing, you could try Squarespace for 2 weeks and see if it fits your needs. They do have an e-commerce platform that is excellent. They do a lot of the things that to help you. But I'll mention another sponsor as long as we're talking sponsors. BigCommerce.com. Now they're focused on the commerce, but they have web design tools and marketing tools for you. They're going to cost more than Squarespace. Really, there is no right answer, just as with most technology. It depends on you and what you want to do. If you are a geek, as you obviously are, and I say that in the nicest way, it's a good thing, you might want to do more of this for yourself, right? You might want to install WordPress on a server. If you're less of a geek, you want the company to do more for you. That's what Big Commerce is really designed for, is people who are, in fact, not technical to set up a website. Makes it very easy. Squarespace kind of in the middle. So you're a little technical. You know a little bit of what you're doing. Squarespace will give you tools to do more. I think for you, what you're describing, Squarespace.com, absolutely. The reason is because of the commerce is built in. It's $24 a month, and I think that's a good deal. Shopify is another one. But the thing about BigCommerce and Shopify, they're very focused on commerce alone. And I think it sounds like you want to do videos, you want to do how-to, you want to make it a rich site. Squarespace will also, add the social aspect, which is very important. You shouldn't just stop with your site, you should have a Facebook and a Twitter and all of that stuff because that drives traffic to the site. And Squarespace facilitates that. I think without hesitation, despite the fact that they're a sponsor, I can recommend them. Squarespace.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I think, the Moto X is, I think this is a brilliant phone. And I know there a lot of hardcore geeks are disappointed or, I don't know what, they're jaded or whatever. They've done some things that are quite impressive. Somebody was mentioning the glass, and I think this is going to be a very robust phone. It's, despite the fact that it's the same size screen as this HTC One, it's smaller and lighter. It really reminds me of a Nexus 4, if you've ever used a Nexus 4. I absolutely think that it's disappointing that only AT&T has the customization. Moto would not tell me for how long. My guess is it's not more than a month or two. That eventually that'll make a difference. I don't think this is mid-range specs. For instance, some people say, well, it's only a 720p screen, but at this screen size, it's 313 dots per inch. It's 10 pixels per inch less than the Retina iPhone. You cannot see dots. So 720p makes a lot of sense to me because, of course, that's going to make it speedier and it's going to make it better battery life. You don't have to work so hard to display the screen. It's crazy. This is 4.7-inch screen, has something like 423 dots per inch. You really can't see the difference in terms of dots per inch. Battery life on the HTC One is very limited because of that screen. People say, well, it's not a quad-core processor. Yeah, but it's dual-core processor, which I would argue is plenty for any phone. I mean, well, really, you're not calculating rocket trajectories. But there are, in fact, 8 processors in here. Dual-core CPU, quad-core GPU. They put a lot of GPU in here. And it's state-of-the-art Adreno GPUs. And 2 DSPs, which no one has. Those are the things that are doing the natural language processing and listening for OK Google now. Sorry. You see, I don't have to say it very loud. I mean, it really is listening for my voice.
Okay, Google, now what's for lunch?
Okay, Google, now what's for lunch?
Petaluma Market.
Oh, I have to ask Petaluma Market. What's for lunch, honey? Burlingame School District again. I don't know why. It must be the closest school district geographically that publishes its lunch menus. That's the only reason I could think of it would come up. Because it does know where you are. So I could say, okay, Google, now what's the weather? And it knows I'm in Petaluma.
61 degrees and partly cloudy in Petaluma.
So having, okay, Google, now where can I get some pizza? And it shows me the nearest pizza restaurants. And these are all in the area.
So you want pizza for lunch?
No. Okay, Google, now what's at Petaluma Market for lunch? No, yeah, see, it won't be able to do that. Let me look up. Actually, I could do this. Okay, Google, now Petaluma Market. If you're looking on the stream and you're saying, boy, the animation seems quite choppy, think what you're saying. What are you watching this on? The animation is quite choppy. You're not seeing it in person, you nitwit. I would like, a small ham cactus chili sounds. Well, I'm not really in the mood for that. How about a salad? Let's be good. Thank you, sir. The animation is quite choppy on the screen. You're watching it on a highly compressed flash stream. I could ask how many calories. Okay, Google, now how many calories in a slice of pizza?
285 calories in each slice.
This is one thing where you don't want the phone to do it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Okay, Google now. How many calories in a slice of pizza?
285 calories in one slice.
Why did tell me that? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The nice thing about Google Now is that all the work can be done on Google's servers. So if they want to add a capability, you don't have to add it to the phone at all. The phone is just querying the servers. So one of the things Google added recently is you can look up nutritional information, and it will give you that information. And they've apparently tied it into Google Now, so it speaks to you. In that case, I'm not sure I wanted it to. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Robert in Charleston, South Carolina. You're next. Hi, Robert. Leo Laporte here.
Hey, Leo. What's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
I've been following you diligently about this Moto X because I know you've been under the embargo. But
I
everybody
finally can talk about the darn thing. I think people assume it's really interesting. This Pat Sajak. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't Pat Sajak, actually. Maybe it was. He called it the Vanna White effect. He said because Vanna White never says anything, people project upon her all the attributes they wish her to be. So, because she never says anything, she must be smart, and must be cool and must be great and blah, blah, blah. It's the Vanna effect, he called it. And that's something, I think, what happened with me not talking about the Moto X. Everybody assumed that it must be the greatest thing in the world because Leo's not saying anything. I didn't say anything. I think there are pros and cons. I'm going to do a full review on Tuesday on our review show. But go ahead and ask anything you'd like to know. I'll be glad to tell you, having used it for a few days now.
Well, I'm glad you have because I'm actually going to step into the world of smartphones here soon. And,
Your first smartphone. How exciting.
See, and I don't know what the best is, so I can kind of tiptoe my way into it without plunking down $700 for,
well, let me say right up front. I still say, although I was hopeful this might be it, there is no perfect phone. There's no best phone any more than there's a best computer or a best TV set. It depends a lot on you and what you're going to do with it and so forth. So do you have a computer right now?
Yeah, well, it's funny you ask. I have one running Linux and I have a test machine running Windows 8.
So you're a geek.
So I'm a nerd, yes.
Yeah.
I am a certified geek.
Well, that's very relevant. If you weren't, I might say Windows Phone. But because Windows Phone is very easy to use, but I think what happens if you're sophisticated is you rapidly get to kind of the end of that road and say, boy, I wish it would do more. I like Windows Phone a lot, and I think for instance, if you said, what I really care about is the best camera possible and a simple operating system, then the Nokia 1020 would be the best phone. If you say custom, and because you're a Linux geek, you might be interested in a Linux-based phone. That's the Android devices. And they're highly customizable, highly tweakable. You can root them. You can put secure shell on them. You can do all the things you can do with a Linux computer. So that might be a reason. For some people, battery life is paramount, and that's going to really change the equation. You can't take the battery out of the Moto X. So you can't, with the Galaxy S4, I carry around extra batteries, and I can go days because I just pop in a new battery. So
if I can keep the tier price level, it's kind of like the deal breaker for me. I mean, I like
think
Windows Phone.
For serious geeks, the Nexus 4, which is a $300 off contract from Google. That's
still a relevant phone. That's been out for, a year?
Yeah, I know. Isn't it funny? It's at a year old. Oh, my goodness.
Well, you were saying earlier, they do age quickly.
They age quickly. It's still relevant for a couple of reasons. Because it's a Google phone, they keep it up to date. So 4.3 is on the Nexus 4. If it's not, it will be any minute now. That means you're going to always have the latest version of Android. Now, it doesn't have – there are a couple of things about the Nexus 4 that are negatives. It doesn't have a removable battery, so if battery life is paramount, it probably isn't a great choice. It's got good battery life, but not great. It doesn't have LTE, so if you're going to be you have to use it on T-Mobile or AT&T, and you'll be using HSPA Plus. Now, in my opinion, HSPA Plus on T-Mobile is plenty fast enough if you're in a T-Mobile area, because no one else is using it. So you kind of own it. I like T-Mobile in Petaluma because I'm the only guy using T-Mobile within 15 miles. So that's a good thing.
So when you buy these phones online, because I know you were talking about it earlier,
Right.
what do I need to look for, like spectrum-wise?
Well, it'll tell you. That's why I buy from Expansys USA. That's a very good choice. Amazon Wireless is also a good choice. If you want off-contract, unlocked phones, then you have to look in the fine print and see if it supports the network you want to be on.
Right, so it'll say specifically, or do I need to?
Yeah, it will say specifically on a
megahertz.
You know, that's why you use a good site that will tell you specifically. It's very important you do that, and that it say, you know, HSPA Plus on T-Mobile, for instance, if that's what you want.
Right. If I can ask you one more small question, and
Sure.
then I'll let it go. I'm looking for a mass text messaging app so I can send that one text message to many.
I don't know of any. On the Macintosh, I don't know of any. I don't know of any on Windows.
No, sorry, Windows or Mac.
Or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
You know what we bought so we could do this is a piece of hardware called a smoosh box.
You talk about that with Steve Gibson?
Yeah, it was a Kickstarter project by my good friend Analog X, and it's now out. SMUSH box. Not very expensive, and the reason it's a good choice is because it sits on. You pay a flat fee on, I think, on T-Mobile, and then you connect it to a computer, and it just sends those out. And you kind of, I think, probably the best way to do it.
You can like set a schedule and it just bumps it up. To
Yeah. You do. You control it with software, so it's a software hardware combination.
Gotcha.
We bought one. I'll have one pretty soon, and. Now, you got to be careful. You don't want to spam people. The way you will use it, for instance, is you can sign up, and you'll have to opt in, and we'll make it a double opt-in. So you'll sign up. We'll send you an email saying, did you really want this? And you'll send us an email back saying, I really wanted this. Make sure that nobody's signing up for you. And then you'll get text messages, for instance, when the tech guy's about to go on the air. So, you know, you'll get a text message, and only if you're really interested, obviously. We'll have check boxes. Yes, let me know when the tech guy starts. And wouldn't that be nice for some people who, maybe me, because I'm always late, would be good to get a message saying, get the heck into the office. You got a show to do. Be careful. Mass text messaging, it's illegal to send spam via text messaging. You really have to make sure people want it. It is not enough to have a single opt-in system. I know because people sign me up all the time for stuff that I don't want. Somebody signed me up for Match.com the other day, so I started getting emails from people who want to date me. You know, they made a fake profile and all that. Because Match.com doesn't do the courtesy of sending out an email to the signed-up address saying, did you sign up? Do you really want to be a member? That's wrong. That's just wrong. So if you're going to do mass, text messaging, double opt-in. That means somebody goes to your site, it very clearly says, we would like to send you text messages when we update this site. Text message fees may apply. Check with your local carrier. If you would like this, give us your email address. They do that. You press send. Then you send them an email to that address saying, somebody, maybe you, signed up for this text messaging. Of course, we don't want to do it unless it really was you. Is it really you? Do you really want this? And then if they don't say yes, you don't send text messages. It's called double opt-in, and I wish everybody did it. I don't understand why people don't. But I know that every company that doesn't, because I have enemies. Even paranoids have enemies, you know. There are people who just think it's the funniest thing in the world to sign Leo up for stuff. And now, because I've mentioned that, you know what's going to happen. I'll be signed up for a lot of stuff. It's all right. I have a script that automatically unsigns me up for things like that. 8888 Ask Leo. We talk about this at techguylabs.com, but also in the chat room during the show. If you've got something to say, you can be the kids in the back of the class. We love having you. irc.twit.tv, or just go to techguylabs.com for more information, and you can participate in that wonderful chat room of ours. More of your calls still to come. Call us up. Say hello to Heather Hammond and her pal Kim, the twins in the booth, and say, hey, I got a question. Somebody in the chat room, by the way, Zero in the chat room, saying SMS hand sent, which is, I believe, an Android app, will do mass text mailing or mass SMSs. Again, I'd be really careful doing that. It's probably illegal. No, actually, it's a website. Hand sent. Oh, I see. They make it for all the platforms: Android, iPhone, Windows Phone, App Store. I've used it as a alternate text messaging app, but I guess it will do mass texting. Thank you. Thank you, Zero. That's why we like the chat room. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. If you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want a little hand-holding, I'm here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I do not like Motorola phones. This is the reason this is important, again, is the first Motorola phone that is not designed by the old team. This is the Google. First phone since the Google acquisition. Are you leaving? Scared you off, huh? You want to get a picture before you leave? All right. Hey, can somebody take a picture here? You can both come back here. Sit in the throne. Would you like to sit on the ball? Don't take our headphones, though. We ask that you leave your headphones. Go ahead. Sit down on the ball. Scooch up to the microphone. Okay, there is a little ceremony involved.
All right. 3, 2. 1, 2, 3.
How long are you in town for?
We leave tonight.
Oh, well, I'm glad you made it up here.
Thank you, Leo.
You're a good daughter to let your dad do this. Or are you a fan? You're a fan too, it sounds like. A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Little teeny weeny bit? All right. Nice to meet you both.
It's nice meeting
Have
you.
fun in San Francisco.
Thank you.
Don't freeze.
All right.
All right, see ya.
Another mass messaging
Fire text. All right, here's another mass text message. Is that a desktop or a
It's desktop.
desktop?
It does text to screen, mass text messaging, text surveying.
I get so nervous about all this stuff. You know, people ask me about mass mailers too, and I hate to mention this stuff. But if you're very good and very careful, fire text. Thank you. Audience interaction. How do you know about that? Do you use it?
Friend of a friend.
Friend of a friend. So this is cool. Oh, yeah. I've seen this. This is one if you're in a concert or something and you text to 12345. Yeah. That's cool. I'm sure this is not cheap either. But this is cool. Yeah, big business uses these. I'm sure this is hideously expensive. The nice thing about the Smoosh box is that you play a flat rate for outbound texts via somebody like T-Mobile, and you're done. Now you have the hardware and you just do it. But that doesn't, I don't know if the Smoosh box does this. It might.
They sell hardware for this too. It's like
Yeah, you need it because you're not going to.
Or you can use your phone. You can USB.
Yeah, but the amount of traffic you would get if you're the Super Bowl and you say, "What's the next play?" Text 12345. Those are pretty heavy-duty systems. Oh, they have a 14-day trial. All right, I'll mention that. Actually, James will put that in the show notes, James, if you would. I'll put it in the chat here. Prices. Let's see what it costs, just out of curiosity. Where was prices? Features. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's not bad. $350 for a single feature, whatever that means. 6 entertainment features. Text to screen. $350. See, the Smoosh box is cheaper than that. The box itself. Oops. I should be on this list, so maybe not. Oh well. And then it's twitter.com /smooshbobble. They haven't done a website yet. I can't wait to get our Smoosh box. So I guess Kickstarter is the best place to learn about it right now. They don't have a link to their... No, but the subscription is like $30 a month because it's a T-Mobile flat texting plan is cheap. And I asked, can I do that? And they said, yeah. So that's the box. I bought it for, what did I buy it for? 120 or 225 bucks. Kickstarter retail price is not the actual price. They haven't said what they're going to cost, but maybe 300 bucks. Love my Chromecasts. I bought 5 of them, but 3 for me and 2 for Lisa. See, okay, good. Text to vote, text to join, text to win, text to give, auto response, emergency notifications. This is a very clever thing. I mean, this disintermediates all these guys. Yeah. They're offering it $25 a month, unlimited SMS texting. Special deal with major mobile carrier. So, for the first 100 Smushbox customers. I hope I got in that one. Now they're selling T-shirts. So, and that's because it's a friend of mine. So, Mark Thompson. So, Steve Gibson was talking about this. And he says, so I ordered one. We'll see. And that's exactly how I want to use it. I want to put a little checkbox on each page or each show saying you want to be notified when there'll be a couple of different notifications. You want to be notified when the show's airing is on live. Do you want to be notified when the podcast is available for download? And so then you could get a text message saying the next version is available. That's Ozzy Kim. He needs a bath and a haircut.
Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour.
On the Hill, I don't think you can use Chromecast in a hotel with web-based authentication. I don't think so, because the way it works, you use the Chromecast app on your Android phone to give it the Wi-Fi password. And there's no, you don't get a web browser back from the Chromecast. So I don't think so. So it really wouldn't be for traveling. It'd be for your home. But I put one on every TV. Last night, I was talking to Lisa. I said, "Did you see the Jimmy Fallon bit that he did with Robin Thicke singing that song?" And she said, "No." And I started playing it on my tablet, and I said, "Wait a minute." I said, and I'm in YouTube on the tablet. I pressed Chromecast launch, and it plays it high def through the stereo. I mean, it was great. And after that, I said, "Let's watch some more." And we watched a bunch of YouTube videos. And it was great. But right now it's just Netflix, YouTube, and Google Music. Pandora's coming. HBO Go has said they're going to do it. Plex. Any tab in your Chrome browser, although that's less than ideal. It's not as, it's just like AirPlay. It's not, the quality's not quite as good. The quality's spectacular when you have it playing directly. And then it's 1080p video on Netflix, for instance, which you can't do as a tab from the browser. It's only 720 at best, depending on your speed, your Wi-Fi speed. But the proof of this will be if other companies start putting Chromecast buttons. If they do, this could be bigger than anything because it's $35. They've sold, I'm sure, at least 500,000 by now. Amazon apparently had 400,000 to 700,000 units, and they sold out. So you got to figure Amazon's. If Amazon's on here, then it's done. Once I can do Amazon streaming on this, I'm happy. Right now, I have to fire up my Roku to do that. Huh? Yeah. Well, they're kind of competitors with Google Play, so I don't know. That's why it'll be interesting if people go along with it or not. Yeah, 5.1 surround. It's great. Works great. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888. I know I say that so fast, don't I? I'll say it slower. That's what happens when you've done it 1,000 times. 888 827 5536. 8888 Ask Leo. Correction, 1,002 times. Heather Hammond is in the in the, what do we call it, the phone booth? Answering the calls.
I guess that makes sense since I'm
Yeah.
a phone ranger.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting your moniker. Phone Ranger, who should I talk to next?
Well, we'll go to Tim in Nashua. He's referring to something we talked about recently.
I like it. Thank you, Heather. Hello, Tim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you doing today?
I'm well.
Good.
How are you?
Pretty good. Yesterday, you talked about iBooks, or ebooks rather, and how they were taking over from physical books.
Yeah.
And I just had one comment. While I agree that you're correct in what you said, many of the older books that I've bought, things that I read when I was 20 and 30 years old, and I'm in my mid-60s now, when I buy the EPUBs or Moby books, what the publisher has done is scanned a hard copy, OCR'd it, and then put it out in the new format without going through and correcting any of the punctuation, any of the spelling, and some of them look totally like trash.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible.
And I paid good money for it.
My recommendation is always read the reviews before you buy it. This is very analogous to what happened when DVDs first started. Remember how DVDs, I bought some early DVDs. Remember the Godfather DVD I bought? You couldn't see it. It was so dark because it was a very bad digitization. It's not unusual in the early days of this kind of thing for people to kind of do a bad job. But that's what's great about Amazon and sites like that, where you can read the reviews before you buy, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any reviews. I mean, I bought Mickey Spillane and John D. McDonald, and both
That's too
of them
bad.
Were terrible.
All modern books, are submitted electronically, so they have electronic versions. But Mickey, I guarantee you, Mickey Spillane wrote it on a beat up typewriter.
Oh, I'm John D. McDonald did the same thing.
Same thing.
He's been dead for 20 plus years, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly. So in that case, what are they going to do? The smart thing would be to hire somebody. It's not expensive to type it in. But the really cheap thing is scan it and OCR it, and that's not going to
yeah, but I mean, they could have hired somebody to go through the OCR version to correct obvious spelling mistakes. Because, I mean, Microsoft Word.
That's old. That is old school. I got to tell you, that's old school. In the old days, companies could get away with that junk. And, of course, older companies, probably big publishing houses, think they can still. But what we are in a new era where the consumer is Internet-powered. And we communicate. We talk to each other. We review stuff. We read reviews before buying. And those are the bad old days. My friend Doc Searles and David Weinberger and a few others 11 years ago now wrote a book called The Clue Train Manifesto. That was a manifesto to companies saying, look, consumers are Internet-powered now. You got to start having conversations with them. You can't treat them like cows out in the field designed to be consumed. You can't give them junk anymore because they talk to each other, and they'll talk back to you. And so, if you're going to be a good business in the 21st century, you better start talking to your customers as humans, as peers. And what that means is companies that do that kind of stupid stuff aren't going to get away with it for very long. And that's why I think Amazon reviews by themselves. And admittedly, there are problems with Yelp, Amazon reviews again, and all of this because companies go in there and write their own reviews. You can. I got to say, you can almost always tell if it's a glowing review that it was written by the company, and if it's a nasty review that it was written by the competitor. Take off the top and the bottom, read the middle. You can always tell when it was a normal person who's used it, who's read it, who said, boy, I just read this Mickey Spillane on ebook, and it's full of typos. Look at this sentence. Look at that sentence. That if you start seeing that, people aren't going to buy it. Now, the problem is the guy who owns the rights to Mickey Spillane probably has an exclusive, doesn't he? So he may not, he may just say, well, I guess that ebook thing ain't working out for us. Well, good luck, because if it doesn't work out for you, you got no business. Ebook sales were up last year 43%, and that's a slowdown. It's actually a slowdown. American Association of Publishers and the Book Industry Study Group say 457 million ebooks were sold last year in 2012. Up 4,456% since 2008. Now, still more hardcovers are being sold. 457 million ebooks, 557 million hardcovers sold last year. But it's rapidly shifting. I didn't say books are dead, but the writing's on the wall for all print media. I like books. I'm the guy who has a library in my house. You know, I bought the Oxford English Dictionary, all 20 volumes. I like printed material, but I, like you, I'm an older guy. And I have to say, currently when I buy a book, I most frequently buy an audio version of it because I like to listen. And if they don't have an audio version, I'll always look and see if there's an electronic book, a Kindle version. The only time I buy physical books is when it's something great, like I spent, and I think this will not die. This is a business that will continue. I spent a couple $100 on a leather-bound, beautiful edition of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It was you know, $80 a volume or something, but it's gorgeous. It's something. It's a work of art. It's something I want in my house. If it's a Mickey Splain paperback, I don't really care if it's paper or electronic. I'd rather get it in an ebook. And modern authors, of course, are moving over that way. In fact, what's really interesting, and the publishing houses hate this, is modern authors say, well, what do I need a publishing house for then? I don't have to have a printing press. I don't have to have paper or ink. I don't need trucks. I don't need bookstores. All I need is Amazon. And they make more money. You could charge $4 for the book, keep $1, and still make more money than Random House paid you. In fact, the only thing that really the publishing houses brought to the table, and this is true of the record industry, of all of these movie houses, is marketing. You can make a record without a $100,000 a day studio. You could do it on your laptop. You can make a movie with a cheap camcorder and distribute it via YouTube. What you don't have, though, is the marketing might, the hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing budget. But unless you're Mickey Splain, you're probably not getting that money anyway. Danielle Steele, you're not getting that money anyway. So more and more authors, even established authors, my friend Jerry Purnell, who listens to the show, hi Jerry, has been a big proponent of ebooks. He's very excited about this. And this is a best-selling science fiction author, one of the best-selling of all time, who has a publisher, could get a publisher for anything he wants and get marketing and everything because he's huge. And he likes the ebook. It's where it's going. So, yeah, I like paper books. I prefer them. Look at my wall over here is a library of paper books. But I don't know what the future holds. I have a feeling it's more electronic than otherwise. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And don't buy those bad Mickey Splain scans. Leo Laporte here. Whoa, but I love my Lord of the Rings leather-bound set. Now that's good. That's good reading. I can show you a picture of it, actually.
Hey, let's face it, we're all trying to save money these days.
I got it because I had this crazy notion that someday I would read it to my grandkids. and I would hold them in my lap. And I would be reading to them. I don't know what. I must have been on drugs. I don't know what I was thinking. Henry, Abby, no hurry, really. See if I can find the picture I posted. They're beautiful. Oh my gosh, gilt edges, and it's just fun to hold. And I was thinking, I ought to have the Lord of the Rings. The Tech Guy Lab's brought to you, as always, by the good folks at LegalZoom.com. Most Americans don't have a will. That's crazy. You don't want government rules dictating what happens to your property, to your children. Why procrastinate? People say, well, I'm not going to do it. It's too expensive. It costs too much time. LegalZoom.com makes it easy. You can get this done in an hour. Less. Most people finish the online process in just 20 minutes. And right now, because I think it's National Will Month for the month of August or something. Last wills are discounted 15%. Now, remember, your will is state-specific. It's personalized based on your information. It's not just some fill-in-the-blank form. They have 12 years of experience walking you through this, handling important legal matters for people. That's it. It's National Make-A-Will Month, it says here. That's good. Celebrate National Make-A-Will Month. Before you kick off, go to LegalZoom.com and get 15% on your last will. People don't do this because they don't want to think about it, right? But believe me, you got to. Or you can get a living trust, and you'll get a pour-over will absolutely free. LegalZoom can provide self-help services at your specific direction or connect you with an attorney. They're not a law firm, but they are great. For your special discount, make sure you use our offer code now, TechGuy, and get $10 off and 15% off your last will. LegalZoom.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion. You want to talk high tech? I want to talk about it with you. 888-827-5536. Going back to the phones. Taylor, Corona, California. Hi, Taylor. Leo Laporte.
Sup?
Hey, Taylor. What's up?
Nothing much.
What can I do for you?
To make the comment about the Motorola hats.
Yeah.
I think it's fine that they're forcing innovation in the other companies, that they're providing competition, with the customizability, with the unique way to use the digital signal processors. It just forces people to, look at the phones, think about what they're missing, and just try to make their phones match up to the Motorola hats. I like competition.
I agree, and variety is great. One of the things that I think is true, geeks like me think about specs. But real people, it's not the specs they're looking at. It's what it does. It's performance. Now, I think the specs on the Motorola X are fine, but a lot of people say, it's mid-range specs. I don't actually think that's true, but let's assume it is. Is that what normal people care about? No, they care about software, performance. Apple has, for years, offered very successful phones that are not, in fact, state-of-the-art. But people want them because of the software. Somebody was asking in the chat room, is the Moto X filled with bloatware? This is the AT&T Moto X. And I don't know how Motorola did it, probably by offering them the exclusive on the Moto Maker website, because there isn't the normal variety of AT&T bloatware on here. There's just two. There's the AT&T My Messages. Visual voicemail. Actually, there's three. Visual voicemail, which you can get rid of. My Messages and My AT&T. There's two Motorola programs, Migrate, which you will want, which migrates your stuff over from your old phone. And Motorola Assist, which actually is quite a cool thing. Helps configure your phone for a variety of situations, driving, meeting, or sleeping. And I used that. I thought it was great. That's it. It's not loaded up, and that's a good thing because the base model is only 16 gigabytes of storage, but there's 12 gigs free when you get it. So that's, in my opinion, plenty, especially nowadays where people are streaming music and video and TV more than they are putting it on their device. I have a lot of apps on here, my audiobooks, and it's still got plenty of room left. They do offer, AT&T will offer a 32 gigabyte version. And there is no additional memory. There's no SD card slot, so you can't add to it. People like that SD card slot. That's a good example, Taylor, of something geeks want, specs, that I don't think adds any value to it. Android phones don't, in fact, most smartphones don't handle SD cards very well. You can move apps to it, but it kind of causes the apps to get funky. You can't use them for widgets. It's mostly useful for storing media, pictures, music, and TV. If you do a lot of media, then then you should get a phone with an SD card. Absolutely. I, of late, haven't really worried about that so much. In fact, I've got the 16 gig Nexus instead of the 32 gig. I got the 16 gig Moto X because I find I don't fill them up with media anymore. I use Google Play or Amazon streaming and listen that way. But again, that's going to, and you do get, as somebody in the chat room pointed out, 50 gigs of a year or 2 years of Google Drive, 50 additional gigs, which is a lot of storage on the cloud. And I just think people's habits have changed a little bit. Maybe not you, and if not, then you should absolutely get a Galaxy S4 or a phone with an SD card slot. But neither the HTC One nor the Moto X have SD card slots, and I think that that's a trend. I think we're going to see more of that. Michael, Long Beach, California. You're next. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hey, Michael. Is he there? Michael! Barbara in Simi Valley. Hi, Barbara. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, Barbara.
I wanted to buy a landline telephone, and I wondered what brand do you suggest being one of the better brands?
Do you want to get cordless?
Yes.
Yeah, there are a number of good cordless phones. I buy Panasonic. That's the ones I prefer. But what I would look for is a cordless phone that has the Digital Enhanced Cordless Telecommunications, or DECT, D-E-C-T technology. That gives you better quality cordless and generally doesn't have the same interference issues that other cordless phones have. So my Panasonic, the one I use, uses DECT, the latest version 6.0, and I love it. They also, Panasonic also sells, if you have a cell phone, a link to cell capability so that the same phone can answer your cell phone as well as your landline.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I got to point out one thing, though, very important. Cordless phone, great, love it, wouldn't live without it. Remember the old days where you had the kitchen phone? It was on the wall, and it had a really long, really tangly. You remember that, Kim? Yeah, Kim's doing what I'm doing, looping the finger. And you'd go, and you could walk and wrap yourself up in it. You could go into the living room, but somebody would definitely die tripping over the cord because... So those days are gone. Although I have to say there's a certain virtue in that for two reasons. One, because you don't lose the phone. It doesn't end up down a sofa cushion somewhere. But more importantly, there's a safety reason. A cordless phone, if the power goes out, stops working. In an emergency, you should always in the house, if you have a landline, and I don't anymore, because I use my cell phone. I didn't bother getting a landline. I know a lot of us don't. But there's a good reason, and I tell my mom this. She's 80 years old, living by herself. Mom, you need a landline from the real phone company, not from your cable company, but from AT&T or Verizon, whoever the local carrier is, the incumbent, and that real phone line, on one of those jacks, you need a phone that plugs into the jack, but not the wall, that doesn't draw power from the house at all. You know, like the old Western Electric rubber phones, the ones you could hammer nails with, that's what you need. The reason is, if there's, and Mom lives in Rhode Island where there's hurricanes and storms and snow and, weather's not nice. And every year there's a blizzard and the power goes out for a couple of days. Mom, I want you to have a phone in there so that even if the power goes out, these old phones are powered from the phone company. This was the original plan of Ma Bell, AT&T. These phones get their electricity from the phone company, so they continue to work even when the power's out. For an emergency, it's a very valuable thing to have. I keep mine in the garage, or used to. Like I said, I don't have a phone line anymore. If a blizzard hits Petaluma, I'm a goner. If I can't get out of the house for 4 days, I'm a goner. But don't do as I do. Do as I say. Get a corded phone that doesn't plug into the wall. They make them, that they're corded, but you still plug them into the wall. That's no good. You only want it to go in the phone jack, nothing else. Because that means it's getting its power from the phone company and will continue to work even in a power outage. It's very important for emergencies. Actually, out here we have earthquakes, and that would be another reason. Phone company is, much more robust. They battery, whatever it is, they've got backups, they've got generators. They're much more likely to continue to offer service even when the power's out or there's been a disaster. So important. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. More of your calls right after this. Yeah, you could buy a battery unit. Tyrell says, just buy a battery plug. No, but you know what? First of all, go to Radio Shack, get a $7 phone. Keep it in the garage I don't care where you keep it. Just put it somewhere. Because if you forget to charge the battery, the power's out for 4 days and the battery dies, whatever. It's just nice to have. Well, if the lines go down, you're dead. But just giving you more redundancy. You're right. If an atomic bomb hits your house, it's not going to matter. It is always possible to conceive of scenarios where this won't work. Is it? Come on. Come on. Actually, I did buy a Western Electric red phone with a SIM card in it. It was Snap SparkFun had modified it. Let's see. Corded telephone. How about this one for $9.30? There you go. Oh, I wonder if you have to plug it in. No, you do not have to plug it in. It gets so much power from the phone company, it can even light up the numbers. So AT&T sells them. Cheap. Here's a Uniden for $5.97. $5. Let's see if you need to plug that one in. You want black? All right. Doesn't have any features. That's what you want. No features. This is for anyone who doesn't want the hassle of multiple features, it says. It has a redial button. Yeah, so $6, okay, on Amazon. And it's Prime, so I'm sorry, $9 on Amazon. It's Prime, so you don't have to pay shipping. There you go. No, I wouldn't probably. I don't know. I haven't heard any Bose 901s since I was 20. That was a long freaking time ago, but probably not. I love my Emotivas upstairs and my Aperions downstairs, 5.1 surround. These Aperions are very nice. The Aperion sub is excellent. These are made in America, inexpensive home theater speakers. They sound good. They sound good. And they have wood cabinets. And Emotiva is also an excellent company. I am so convinced of the quality of these. I don't go elsewhere. You know, if you want to, you can go out and get a B&W speaker that would sound better. But oh, last chance, summer sale. Uh-oh. I have a kind of Emotiva Jones. These are great power amps. So a pair of their towers range, from 500 to 629. So you need the towers, you need a center channel, and you need rear speakers for a 5.1. I bought these Air Motifs for my gym. They sound fabulous. You don't even need a sub. They're very full range. So let's get the XRT reference. These are nice. I think that's what I have at home. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, mentioned that for emergency purposes, it would be good to have a corded phone somewhere. It doesn't have to be invisible. You know, it doesn't have to be in somewhere visible because you don't want to be embarrassed when the neighbors come over. Yeah, I have an old $7 phone. It's in the drawer somewhere. But in an emergency, it's a great thing to have. And I mentioned, this only works if you go to the phone company. And the reason for that is you can get, nowadays, and they're all selling it like crazy, Comcast, Cox, Time Warner, they want you to get, what do they call them, those triple play bundles where you get TV service, internet service, and phone service from the cable company. And it's fine. It's perfectly good phone service with one exception. They don't do that thing where they power the phone from the central office. They power the phone from your power. So if the power goes out, now, they always give you a battery pack somewhere in your installation, probably in the garage or maybe on the side of the house. There's a battery pack. So if the power goes out, that phone will continue to operate for a day, maybe. But a couple of things to note. It doesn't operate forever. The battery runs out eventually. Your phone will stop working. And secondly, I had it for years, never seen them once come out and check the battery pack. And one thing we know about lithium-ion batteries, which is what they're using, is that they're good for a limited amount of time, a year, two, certain number of charges. At that point, they no longer charge. I don't know. Do you have cable phone service? Have they ever come out to check your battery pack? No. In fact, somebody's telling me Comcast now charges for the battery. So this is one of the reasons I don't get phone service from the cable company. Actually, I don't get phone service. Again, I'm a bad person. One of these days, I'm going to fall. I won't be able to get up. They're going to come 3 weeks later. There'll be a skeleton in the living room. It'll be me. And then you'll say, you see, Leo, you should have taken your own advice. 8888 ask Leo, the phone number. Use whatever phone you want. Other companies that make good cordless phones, VTech, I've had some good VTech phones. I just like, for some reason, I feel strongly that Panasonic, that's a name, right? That's a name you can trust. They're going to be around for a while. Actually, that may not be true. I just learned, for instance, Sony, the big Japanese consumer electronics companies, Panasonic, Sony, Sharp. I've just learned that these companies are struggling. And it's all your fault. People are not buying enough HD TVs. Turns out everybody got one, and they're fine. That's it. We don't need another. We don't need to buy one every few years. And these companies are really struggling. I just learned, I can't remember, was it Wall Street Journal? I just read that Sony of all people, almost all their profit comes not from consumer electronics, but from insurance. As with many Japanese companies, they're keiretsu. They're big, large conglomerates that do a lot of things. And in Sony's case, consumer electronics is a money-losing proposition. TVs are losing money. Does anybody still buy Walkman? Anybody got a Betamax out there? So they're losing money like crazy. Fortunately, they diversified in the 80s into insurance, and it's doing quite well. Thank you. So... now I don't know about Panasonic's. I haven't looked at their financials lately, but it's my understanding that all of the Japanese electronics companies are suffering. Please buy some more TVs, would you? Greg in I don't know where that is. RPV. Where's that, Greg?
That's Rancho Palos Verdes.
Oh, you see, I got to learn Heather's acronyms. Rancho Palos Verdes. Hey, it's a lot to write. She only gets like 50 characters, so.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah. What can I do for you, Greg?
First of all, I have to tell you that my wife, Colleen, loves and listens to you all the time, so here I am.
Hi, Colleen. She's a geek, huh?
She thinks she's a geek.
Oh, that's the worst kind. Never let somebody who thinks they're a geek work on your computer. That's just death.
Well, I was sitting here doing research on this very subject that I'm going to tell you, and my wife said, call Leo.
Yeah, why not? Why do work when you can call me? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to do the research for you.
All right, well, here's what's going on. I am moving my office about 3 miles down the road, and the property hasn't had internet or cable service for 3 or 4 years.
Oh.
So I thought, and I just heard you not like this, but I thought I would get like Time Warner, triple thing. It's a medical office.
That's different for business.
Okay. So
you're not going to be there in a blizzard, are you? You're going to be home.
Right. Well, it's in California also. So
earthquake.
So they had, I set it all up for like the 10 meg and 6 lines, 5 static IPs, 6 phones,
Good
2
man.
HD TVs. I did
man.
the whole thing.
Good man.
Time Warner says it's going to take 90 business days to get a pole permit behind you. And meantime, my office, I'm moving in a month, right?
Oh, you got a problem, dude.
I do have a problem. So then somebody suggested, well, because the local telephone is Verizon, and they don't even have Fios. They have a block behind me and a block down the road.
Yeah.
So I don't want them coming into my brand new expensive office and putting phone jacks everywhere for 6 months till Time Warner comes.
Right.
So somebody said, well, why don't you try something like Clear Internet and some VoIP phones?
Yeah.
So I'm looking into that, and so I got the Clear. So I got the Clear.
What Clear is I'm not sure I would recommend Clear, but what you want, or what you may want, at least in the interim, at least if they get you wired internet, which will be better, is wireless. And in most cases, if you have line of sight to the base station, because it's kind of like microwave, they'll beam it right into you, and you can get decent performance that way.
And then, one question is, so if I do something like that and I use these VoIP phones, is there if you buy phones from one company, like say the one you like, Ring Central, if I used a different
no, so what happens with Ring Central?
They all have their own.
Yeah, they all well, sort of. So a VoIP phone is different from a LAN phone.
Right.
So what Ring Central sells, and we use Ring Central in the studio, and in fact they're a sponsor, is a SIP. It's called a SIP phone. And any VoIP provider will give you a SIP phone. And that is a different, it looks the same. It's from Polycom, just like a regular business phone. But a SIP phone is designed to use the internet instead of the landline. It's a different protocol. So at least the phones we have, you couldn't use them on a regular landline. Now, they may make SIP phones that go both ways. So the first thing to do when you call Ring Central, by the way, I do not hesitate to recommend them. They are a sponsor.
Have land phones.
Yeah. No. That's right. That's right. Because you're going to move over to Time Warner if they wire you up, right?
Yeah. So tell me exactly what would you do in the meantime till Time Warner gets in?
I think you're going to. If Time Warner gets in, you don't have to abandon Ring Central. By the way, they don't care what kind of internet you have.
Okay.
So I would say thank you, Time Warner, because it's going to take 90 days. I have to get a phone system, so let's not order that. I'm going to get it from Ring Central. But I will still get your internet, your fine internet service. Can you hurry up? You may also check with your, not only Verizon, but somebody like DSL Extreme or an independent internet service provider may be able to provide you with good internet over those copper lines. That it may end up, since you do have phone in there, right?
No, there's not.
There's no telco at all?
Verizon would have to install.
Would they do that for you for free? I mean, they could do it faster. They don't have to get permits.
Right. They could install a wire, but like I said, we basically remodeled a whole old building.
You can ask them instead of what you do is you ask them for dry DSL, that is internet without the phone.
Okay.
Thing is, you're going to want phone jacks. You don't want phone jacks? You're going to want phone jacks. Dry loop DSL from Verizon and Ring Central, that's pretty good. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I don't understand. I mean, the VoIP, you're going to have a jack.
Don's dream of
You want a jack. You really want a jack. I mean, you don't have to. We have all of the desks out in the middle here. You can't really see them, but all of the desks out in the middle here, and yours too, I think, are cordless phones. So you can get cordless phones from Ring Central. I have a wired phone. So you could go both ways. Actually, cordless is fine. I thought the FCC required that they offer dry loop. They're saying Verizon won't give you dry loop. Just about the worst name for a product ever. Yeah, I guess Verizon does not have to sell dry loop. I thought that was an FCC requirement. That's shocking. Oh, you have to get a bundle. You have to buy a voice line. I really thought that was illegal. Thank you, FCC, for protecting consumers. American telcos are horrible because it used to be Ma Bell, it used to be a monopoly, and even though they're not anymore, they never learned not to be a monopoly. Yeah. So you got, what did you get? You got wireless symmetric. Oh, second. This is interesting. This would be a great comment in the. So Nick Allen says, we just went through this in Soma, south of Market in San Francisco. No Comcast available. This isn't unusual, by the way. If they don't have customers, they won't trench out there. and it was going to cost $50,000. So you have to pay Comcast to do the trenching. We were a satellite startup working a 14.4 megabit DSL connection. It was hell, yeah. So you got wireless 50-50 symmetrical. In an urban area, you can get that. You're probably getting MMDS, basically a microwave connection to get 50-50. So that's what Nick Alain says. FCC requirements only apply for analog pairs. So if you didn't have an analog pair, then they don't have any requirement to give you dry loop DSL. And that's why when they put FiOS in, the first thing they do, unless you stop them, is cut the analog pair. I know. The FCC has really not been. Do I hate Apple? Yes, I hate them. I hate Apple with a passion that burns like the fiery flames of hell. That's why I have Macintoshes everywhere, so I can hate them all the more. This iPad, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. This iMac, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Of course I don't hate Apple. I don't hate any company. I don't love any company either. Maybe that's what you'd confuse lack of love with hate. Actually, I do love Macs. I love them like a beautiful woman. Rocket launch. Cool. Oh, so when you say satellite, you mean like satellites. Neo Satisfy. I love the name. Oh, you launched on a Russian rocket? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. We were talking about, if there's anything worse than the cable companies, it's the phone companies. And in order to get internet in this country, 99 times out of 100, you have to go to a cable company or a phone company. And they're both basically unfettered monopolies, so they don't care if you're happy. They just want your money, and it's a shame. It's a really shame when somebody like Greg is sitting there and is kind of trying to put his business together. What'd you buy? Did you build a medical office in the middle of an empty lot? I don't know. Anyway, I guess he's gone. I think that probably you should look into wireless internet. One of our chatters has a startup, a kind of a cool startup called Nano Satisfy. It's a satellite business. And they were in a similar situation. No copper from the cable company. Would have cost too much to trench it in. They were using kind of junky DSL, and they found a 50 megabit symmetric wireless provider. Now, they're in San Francisco, and of course, if you're in a metro area, that should be available to you in most big cities, probably using an older technology called MMDS, which was a microwave technology. But then you can get some speed, because the buildings are close by, they aim a microwave at you. Multi-channel, multi-point distribution service. Sometimes they call it broadband radio service or wireless cable. And you get some very good speeds if you're nearby. That would be the ideal if you could find a wireless broadband provider. Clear, which was Clearwire, unfortunately, and Sprint bought them, is probably not my first choice. They implemented something called WiMAX. In fact, Sprint was selling it as their 4G solution on their phones for some time, and I just did not have good results with that. Now, maybe it's better if you have a base station and all that. WiMAX was designed for this. WiMAX was a form of Wi-Fi designed for high throughput for, business. Originally, what WiMAX was going to do was help wire the rural areas, Because if you think you've got a problem with an empty lot in a city because nobody has a wire going to you and then nobody has the pole, just imagine if you're in the middle of Wyoming where there's 4 people per square mile, no cable company, no phone company is going to want to spend any time wiring that up. So you're going to have to get wireless service. A lot of people choose satellite. Certainly not a good choice if you're going to use your phone system over it because of the latency of, getting a signal from the bird up in the sky and sending a signal back. Well, you've seen it on CNN when they use their satellite phones. There's a second or two delay, and that just kills phone calls. Not to mention first-person shooter games. Dan in Upland, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Leo. It's a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet a fellow ham. And I wanted to pick your brain about a new camera that I'm trying to determine whether I should try to acquire or not. It just was released recently. It's called the Black Magic Pocket Camera.
I love this camera.
Do you?
Oh, I want this camera. It's not cheap. So
it's not.
Let me talk about what Blackmagic is doing. Blackmagic is a great company for video production. We use a lot of Blackmagic gear in our studio. For instance, if you ever watch our video stream, we're using consumer-grade camcorders, but we use Blackmagic converters to convert the HDMI to something called SDI. We have Blackmagic in all throughout the studio. Our video switchers, Blackmagic. I love Blackmagic. BlackMagicDesign.com. Expensive, but very, very cool. So they've gotten into the high-quality camera business. They have 3 different cameras. You mentioned the Pocket Cinema camera. It's $1,000.
Yes.
And it's not a still camera, or it could probably take stills, but it's designed to be a very high-quality video camera. It's Super 16 sensor size, and it takes micro Four Thirds lenses. That's good news because there's lots of them. That's a very common lens mount, and Panasonic and Fuji and Olympus all make micro Four Thirds lenses. There's some excellent choices out there. So does some very high end, like Zeiss. And this records. What's cool about it? It records in the Final Cut Pro format, ProRes, 422, which means not so compressed, ProRes. So you can pop out the SD card from this camera, put it into your computer, and immediately edit it with Final Cut in very high quality. Are you interested in video?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have and use Final Cut. And so the dilemma that I was going to ask you about, because I'm a novice here, I have a Panasonic HPX 170, which is kind of going a different way with HD video, but I wanted something small. And the dilemma that I have, Leo, is so I have a Nikon, and the lenses are Nikkor AF lenses.
You'd have to get a mount for those, obviously.
Right, an adapter. So is it correct, Leo, that these are kind of, quote, automatic lenses, so without an adapter, you're not going to be able to control aperture at all?
Even with an adapter, you won't, probably. The camera will. I don't think it will talk to the Nikkor lenses because they require a protocol that the camera does not have.
Oh, okay. Because that was the thing that I was going to ask you. Is I was talking to somebody at B&H, and they were saying that there's an adapter for $600 that.
Well, I would check it, see if the adapter does the communications. Generally, when you get an adapter, the electronics in the lens stop working.
Okay.
So I would check. They do make, a Blackmagic, it's a little more expensive, a 4K camera that takes Canon lenses, and I wonder if it takes the Nikkor lenses, because they realize pros have spent, as you have, a lot of money on super glass, right? And, boy, you'd love to use that glass. That glass is probably better than the micro Four Thirds glass.
So they say. And that was the other thing I was going to ask you is, to pick your brain about are the lenses that you could buy for that specifically,
They're good. They're certainly going to be as good as the Panasonic you're using.
Okay.
I mean, the Panasonic you're using is a great, we've used these too. It's a pretty good kind of prosumer level camcorder. There are a couple of differences. First of all, it's big. You put it on your shoulder. It's also, the nice thing about the Blackmagic, you put it in your pocket. On the other hand, it's not as stable because the shoulder mount cameras, or the bigger camera, believe it or not, is going to be more stable. So you're going to maybe use a tripod for the Blackmagic. It suddenly gets a little bit less portable. Also, the pickup size on a Micro Four Thirds is smaller, so you don't get the same depth of field. As you know, the smaller the sensor, the less depth of field. You probably get more depth of field in the Panasonic, but not as much as on your Nikon camera, your still camera.
Okay.
So the truth is, the best way to do this, if you have a Nikon camera, unless you're filming more than 20 minutes at a time, is just use your Nikon camera.
Okay. All right, Leo. Yeah. And so thank you very much for that. Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Mm-hmm.
I had called you in the past, and I have Apple. I also have PCs for some other things, and I use ESET NOD32 virus protection for my PC. And in the past, you told me that Apple doesn't really need virus protection, but has that changed?
ESET's not going to like me for saying this because they do sell an antivirus for the Mac, but I don't think you need one on the Mac still. Apple does some smart things to protect you. They have an anti-malware system that's quite effective. Now, I may be wrong on this because my son's entering University of Colorado in the fall, and they were very clear when I went to the orientation. They said, Mac or PC, if you bring it into our network, we're going to put an antivirus on it. So they must think, certainly there are viruses on the Mac side. It's a lot harder, and it's probably a lot less interesting for malware authors to attack Macs. They go after Windows because it's easy.
Right.
So I don't think you have to. I have not had a problem. Sophos makes a free one for the Mac that's probably more than adequate.
Okay.
I don't, I'm kind of a bad person. I don't use an antivirus on either platform. And the reason is that I have the arrogance to think that I know what not to do.
Okay.
A lot of security experts I know do the same. And basically, we're living on borrowed time, I'm sure. So most of the time, I tell people, just to be safe, it doesn't hurt, get an antivirus. You're better safe than sorry, because the worst thing in the world is to get infected. If you've ever been infected, it is so much harder to get rid of a virus than it is not to get one in the first place. So let's play it safe. Get an antivirus. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, Windows 8 comes with effectively security essentials now. Microsoft bundles an antivirus with Windows 8. CR1 says, I've never used protection and now it hurts when I pee. I think that's not no. I got to laugh. I got to laugh from the ladies on that one. That's good. ESET is still a sponsor, and I still love ESET. I think they're still a sponsor. Even if they weren't, I would absolutely recommend them. And on Windows, I think it's the right way to go. On the Mac, I don't know. That old black magic, it's got me in a spell. That old black... Windows Defender on Windows 8 is not the same as Defender was on Windows 7. It is, in fact, Security Essentials Plus. That's all you need. Yes, Houdini7 says he's going to add Chromecast to the Twit app. Rock in North Carolina, we talked about it at the beginning of the hour. We mentioned it live when it happened. And I'm a big Peter Capaldi fan, so I'm happy about that, even though I don't watch Doctor Who. I might. With Peter Capaldi, I might. Oh, really? That's interesting. No audio controls on that. Well, see, for instance, that may be a thing because pros don't generally do that. Yeah, they did talk about it. They bought a very large plant that used to be a Nokia plant in Fort Worth. They've hired, I think, 2,000 people in Fort Worth to work on the Moto X. It is assembled in the U.S., but many of these components are not made in the U.S. The screens aren't. The motherboards may or may not be. It's hard for you to do that. I did upgrade my SmugMug, but those family photos are not public. Those are password protected. That's why, because I've shown them some of them in the past, but I don't want them all to be available. Let me... Yeah, nowadays it's very hard to buy something that's entirely U.S. I applaud them. Motorola is a U.S. company, right? And they were before Google bought them, and they are now too. And I applaud them for making a phone in the U.S. And, you know, a lot of us have said, come on, Apple, make your phones in the U.S. And Apple said, but it cost more. And so when Motorola is charging $200 for this phone, people go, it costs too much. You can't win, can you? I'm sure Motorola could make this phone in China and take $50 off the price. Would that make you happy? No, the reason they make it in the U.S., and I think they actually have a very compelling reason, is they want to customize it. So in order to get this customized on the Moto Maker website and to you within 4 days, which is their promise, they have to make it in the U.S. Otherwise pay a lot of money for shipping, right? We told them, Lisa said, you should have, because you can customize the back with like engraving. She said, you should offer, and they have like logos and stuff. You should offer an American flag. Yeah, but how much does that, Tokyo Jim, that's when the Apple laptops come out first, but how much does Apple pay for that shipping? It's got to cost a lot. So Apple has a lot of room to play on your laptop with extra expensive shipping. Well, I don't know. Okay, maybe they don't have to make it in the U.S., but they do, which is good. Well, I love the Nexus 7. I think the Nexus 7 at $229, and I wouldn't buy the bigger one or the LTE one. I'm not interested. But I think $229 is an amazing device. Isn't it funny that Apple changed its Siri voice because they don't own Siri, and this voice is Siri? Doesn't it say? Well, I think it's the same because it's from AT&T. Okay, Google now. What's the weather like? Listen. Sounds just like Siri to me.
It's 70 degrees and clear in Petaluma.
No? Kim says it doesn't sound like Siri. They're voiceover experts, so they would know. I don't know. Sounds like Siri to me. Oh, has the Peter Capaldi wiki page gone crazy? I bet it has. Did you see that the Edward Snowden's Wikipedia page was edited to say that he was a traitor? But what the people who did that didn't know is that the IP address of whoever makes an edit is visible. And it was an IP address from the U.S. Senate. Morons. It's probably some staffer, right? But still, please. Well, that's one thing I like about this. Every Samsung phone has the Samsung Vlingo-based voice recognition. It's very hard to get rid of that, to not use it. And it's always on there. And it's another kind of bloatware. Motorola's using the standard Google Now voice with nothing. There's no other recognition built in. This is a very clean phone. It's a pretty close to Google experience. You know, they don't have and this is my big problem getting used to the HTC One is the really weird non-standard button placement. They have physical buttons, and there's a home button and there's a back button, but there's no menu button, and the HTC doesn't do anything. So there's physical buttons, and Android is smart. When there's a physical button, it won't put a on-screen button. At first, I didn't like on-screen buttons. These are not physical. There's no physical buttons on this. But that lets you make the bezel bigger. It does take some screen resolution away. But the nice thing is when you rotate it, I have rotation turned off. But when you rotate it, the buttons are always in the same spot. They'd be down here. So I've come to like it. I really like having the recent. I've really come around on Android. I think with 4.2, Android doesn't need any customization. There's no customization on here. There's no Motorola Blur. There are some differences. The camera application is dedicated because without it, you couldn't do this. It launches when you twist your wrist like that. And by the way, it's a great camera application. I really like it. So there are a few things that are customized. For some reason, I don't understand. They ship with a different calendar app. So I installed the Google Calendar app and disabled the built-in. I think they're the same. Well, no, they're not the same because the new Google Calendar app has a really nice feature. When you're adding an event, The time picker and the date picker is much better. It's a calendar date picker, and the time picker shows a clock. This is big improvement. Google just did this a couple of weeks ago. And the calendar app that comes with the Moto X doesn't do that, so I immediately disabled that. I was shooting pictures all day at the fair yesterday, and the ability to take this out of your pocket, go this, do this, and go right to taking a picture, boom, is fabulous. It's the fastest camera I've ever used. It's not a great camera. That's the negative. It's a 10-megapixel camera. They are doing an RGB-C thing, which they say is better. I don't think it's not as good as the Galaxy S4 or the HTC One, alas. I'll show you my pictures. You can be the judge. I put them on Google+. I've been taking a lot of pictures so that I can, on the review, I can show you. But I think that's one negative on this is the camera is... I'm not a big fan of the HTC One camera either, frankly, because it's 4 megapixels, and I think you pay. So I'll show you some pictures when we start up here. This is in broad sunlight. This is inside. The low light's not bad. It does do slow motion video, which is totally awesome. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to talk computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. I can answer any question about tech, and you know what? If I can't, guarantee you the chat room or somebody in our vast listening audience can. 8888 Ask Leo. Heather Hammond taking our calls. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
She's got a little trainee in there. Kim is a trainee. Do we make them wear paper hats that say trainee? I think we should.
Oh, yeah.
Hazing,
Where are those?
Hazing, a little hazing, always good. Actually, we had this idea. You know, we have interns in the building, and people come in. They don't know that some people are interns and some people are trained professionals. Good. There you go. That's the hazing hat. She's going to wear a fez for the rest of the show. Doesn't fit the headphones, unfortunately. We need a trainee hat that fits it. So we were thinking, how can you tell? How can you tell if somebody's an intern? So I've decided to get them red Star Trek shirts with a little emblem and everything, because that'll stand right out.
Yeah.
And the other, it's kind of an inside joke, because the guy, apparently in Star Trek, the guy in the red shirt is always the first one to get it when they do a landing party. And, of course, the interns are, in fact, the first to get it. So,
that's right.
Yeah, so I think a little red Star Trek shirt.
The first thing they learn is that if anything ever happens, they throw themselves
in front of the bullet.
Of you.
Yep.
Right.
If the Brick House Studios of our Tech Eye Lab starts to sink, I get on the lifeboat before them. Mm-hmm. You can get on first. Women and talk show hosts first. Interns last, right?
Spoken like a true talk show host.
Yeah.
About female interns.
Oh, now you've given me an ethical conundrum. I'm going to have to think about that. Anyway, welcome, Kim. It's nice to have you. Heather's not leaving us. Do not fear. But she apparently wants to take time off or something. I don't understand that at all.
Maybe someday.
Vacation time? What's that? Who should I talk to? You've been talking to all the folks. Who's the next caller here?
Kim and I like Rebecca in South Pasadena.
All right. Hey, let's talk to Rebecca in South Pasadena. She just called us on the Tech Eye request line. Hello, Rebecca.
Hey, Leo, it's Rebecca from South Pasadena.
You do that too well, Rebecca.
Hey, listen, I know who Heather is because I'm a huge Dr. Dean Adele fan. So
Heather was with Dean. How long were you with Dean, Heather? Like 11 years. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan. I have his books. I have some of them signed anyway. So.
Oh, that's neat. So isn't it nice that Heather's back?
I think it's awesome.
She was going to retire onto the island with Dean.
I'm into recycling, so
we've recycled the call screener. No, I was. You know what? It was perfect timing. We were looking for a call screener in our studio, and Dean had retired, and Heather was looking for work, and it was perfect timing because this show is almost identical in many ways. It's a highly technical show. You get a lot of people who call up And Dean, they would call up saying, I've had bunions on my feet. And, you don't want to put that person on the radio. We've got my printer doesn't work. We got the same kind of people. So she's very good at, nicely saying, can you phrase that in the form of a question?
Well, I'm going to make a real quick Moto X comment, and then I want to get your thoughts on LinkedIn.
Yes.
But the Moto X thing, I teach at a community college, and college students, even though they have no money, seem to have the latest phone.
Always.
So in a critique, it's an art class, so, every now and then someone's phone rings during a critique. Constantly, make sure your phones are off, and everybody has music on their phones anyway. Right. So, I always have to remind people. I can just
the worst thing is those ringtones, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be worse because now the phones are going to be talking to the people, and the people are being talking to the phones, and
Well, a couple of things. First of all, of course, you don't have to use that OK Google Now thing. You don't.
Well, I'm going to have to tell everybody turn off your OK Google Now.
I think Motorola might be sensitive. Oh, by the way, because I said OK Google Now, it listened and
I heard that.
Started up again. So here's something that I kind of like. There is an app that it comes with called Motorola Assist.
I see.
And it has 3 different situations, and you can give it choices. It's got driving, meeting, and sleeping. Now, if the kids put in class time in their calendar, it will say, keep your phone quiet while you're busy. In fact, it even will automatically reply to calls using a text message that you provide. I'm in class. Please call me back. Now, you'd have to instruct kids if they had. Now, for those of you who have Moto X's,
I will.
Please turn on your meeting.
I will do that.
Isn't that great? Yeah. And in fact, this is something I was worried about because I would love for the phone not to make noise while I'm in bed asleep, right?
Right.
And it does have a sleeping mode. You set the time. I sleep from 11 a.m. to maybe noon. So you set those times. But I worry, what if there's an emergency call?
Right.
So there's a button and it says, unless somebody who's in your favorites calls, you can check that. So if anybody, I put my family, my favorites, obviously. So if my daughter calls, it will ring because if it's in the middle of the night and she needs to be bailed out of jail, I want to take that call. And then there's also, and this is kind of intriguing, if somebody calls twice. Now, I'm not sure I will flip that switch because I have ex-girlfriends. But if somebody calls twice within 5 minutes, the third time it will ring through.
That's cool.
So that I kind of like. So this is something Motorola's added, but some other phones will do it. On other Android phones, I've used a tool that I love called Locale. And you can say, hey, when I'm in fact, I did do this, and I will continue to do it with my other Android phones. When I'm in the studio, don't ring. Or in the case of this HTC One, when you're face down, and I put it face down, don't make any noise at all.
Oh.
That's the silence mode. So unlike iPhones, now iPhones are nice because they have a little button you can switch. These Android phones can be more situationally aware.
Okay.
So you can say, hey, if I am in my office, do not ring, or you can have a special ring, or just vibrate, and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you're a teacher. Gosh, I don't know what you do. I mean, do you make kids close their laptops?
Well, yeah, they can't have mine's a sketching class, so it's all artwork. If they're not sketching, they should be always sketching in my class. So,
Well, now what if, Rebecca, they come in with a Galaxy Note 2 and they want to sketch on their Galaxy Note 2? Do you allow them?
Well, they can't do that. It's all pencil and paper and pens. So, and that's the whole idea of the class is they're learning how to use different media and different papers and things like that. So already we're that way, and already we have a no text policy. Which is still hard because they think they need to be in contact with the world 24/7. So
it's my kids. I have an 18 and a 21-year-old. You're just like your students.
Yeah.
And my son will sit at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And we have a rule: no texting at the dinner table. And he's looking at his lap.
Yeah, exactly.
And his arms are in his lap. And it's like, Henry, I know what you're doing. What you think that doesn't look like you're? I'm just looking at my lap.
Oh yeah, checking my messages. Yeah, I know how to do it in my class too.
But don't, Rebecca. Let's be honest. Isn't it hard when you're driving and your phone goes bloop? Isn't it hard not to pick it up?
Right. I know. I tell him. I tell him this is going to be very hard for you to do. But
It's a good discipline.
It is. You need to learn how to turn this off and concentrate on doing these things that we're doing in the class. And I'll tell them right at the beginning, the people who don't text during class and don't do that and sketch the whole time are going to be the ones who are the A/B students. The other kid, everybody else is going to lose out on the time because you need time to do this.
Where do you teach, Rebecca?
Pasadena City College.
That's a good school. I've met a number of people who teach there. I think that's a great school.
It really is, and they've got a great art program. They feed right into Art Center, College of Design.
Which is a wonderful art school.
Oh, yeah. So I get a lot of kids in my class who are pretty accomplished. They're putting portfolios together to get into transportation design or product design. Yeah. And so part of my thing is just teaching them how to sketch like bandits,
Good for you. Well, it's great to talk to you, and I sympathize.
About LinkedIn, though?
Yeah.
Okay, I have friends that join LinkedIn, and then I am barraged because you have to turn over your address book, and then I get all these invitations to LinkedIn.
I hate it.
It makes me really mad because they've just turned my my web address over to some third party. And then I get these.
It happens all the time, and there's nothing you can do except yell at your friends.
Exactly. But
I hate it. Hold on just a sec. We're going to take a break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, I'll be right back. So some excellent suggestions, like using an NFC chip. This actually would work. Put an NFC chip at the door and make sure each kid taps it and it says, "Be silent." Some other things the Moto X does that I think would be really useful in this case. For instance, it will read text to you. It knows when you're driving, right? Because it has all those sensors. So it knows you're driving. And so when you're driving, you can set it up that it reads incoming texts and calls. It reads the thing out loud to you. Or you can actually ask Google Now to read you your texts, and it will read them to you. Yeah, they'd have to have NFC-capable phones. It does geofencing, too. So, unfortunately, it only does it with Bluetooth. When they first showed me the phone, they showed me some stuff that I think that they haven't yet released. For instance, they had a clip that you would swipe it against that had an NFC chip in it, and there was all sorts of interesting stuff. But it does do geofencing with Bluetooth. So one of the negatives on the speaking to the phone is it won't do that if the phone has a password lock on it. For obvious reasons, you don't want people to wake up and use your phone. But you can set it up, and I'm going to be playing with this in the next couple of days before my review. I haven't played with it yet. To have authorized Bluetooth pairings that, like, for instance, when you're in your car and it's paired with the Bluetooth, that it turns off the lock. Or if you're in my office and I've paired it with my Mac, it will turn off the lock. So, battery's been very good. So let's see here. I haven't plugged it in today. And I've been using it, as you saw, quite a bit. And it's at 81%. Let's look at the graph. 3 hours, 22 minutes on battery, 81%. Mostly screen. That's me turning it on a lot. Then Android OS. Google Services, which is Google Now, is only 12%. Wi-Fi 9%. Phone idle 4%. So screen's been on 45 minutes, and it's still 81%. So that's pretty good. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We were talking to Rebecca, the art teacher at Pasadena City College, and she had some interesting questions about LinkedIn. It's not just LinkedIn. Unfortunately, your friends are giving out your email address all the time. And I think people need to start being a little more aware of this. So when you join LinkedIn, when you join a lot of sites, Twitter, Facebook, when you download and install apps on your phone, these sites and applications often will say, hey, your friends would love this. Maybe you would like to, see if they're on here. Or they usually give you some sort of obscure phrasing that eventually leads to you notifying your friends, sending them an email and giving their email as a result to these sites. So if you have, for instance, if you install an application like Facebook on your smartphone, it says, would you like me, to see if anybody else you know is on Facebook. Well, yes, that'd be very convenient. Okay. And then it pops up a little thing that says, may I have access to your contacts? Because it needs to look through your contacts. Oh, yeah. Well, what it's not telling you is that it's downloading those contacts and keeping them forever. And in fact, may start emailing or talking to your contacts in other ways, may market to your contacts. So if you ever send an e-greeting, well, the only way you can send, my mom really loved electronic greeting cards and would start sending me greeting cards all the time. And I said, Mom, every time you do that, you're giving them my email address. But so I don't know what the answer is. I mean, on the one hand, you could, I guess, train relatives, and I'm going to try to explain this to you right now. Don't give out email addresses if you can avoid it. Because that's giving out a piece of personal information that can be misused. On the other hand, I would start thinking of email addresses as something public. Fortunately, we've got good email spam filters now. If you use Gmail, for instance, if you're using Google's mail service, it's the best. All of them have some degree of spam filtering, but Google's is the best. You'll get very little spam. Google's Gmail really is good at filtering it out. So, it's not really, I don't know if you blame LinkedIn. You have to really, they're asking your friends to give LinkedIn your email address, and your friends are doing it. LinkedIn's not stealing it. Your friends are volunteering it. So really what you have to do is you have to tell your friends, stop it. And are they going to know? Now, there are things you can do, and I would suggest doing. There are a number of things you can do. Google is good for this. Google, let's say my email address is leo@gmail.com. It's not, but let's say it were. I could, when I give out my email address, add anything after a plus sign will be ignored by Gmail. So if I give Heather my email address, I could say, hey, Heather, my email address is leo+Heather@gmail.com. Now, she might think that's a little odd. So maybe I should say Leo+1 or something like that. I can give out unique email addresses to everybody using the plus sign, and it will be ignored. Everything after the plus sign will all go to leo@gmail.com. So if you sign up for LinkedIn, you might want to do Leo+Li, for instance, .com as your email address. Then you'll know who LinkedIn's giving your email address to. How valuable is that? I don't know. It's ammunition, I guess. It's more like research. You can also, though, and Art Chandra is pointing out the most useful feature of this, now create a filter. So you can say, hey, I'm getting a lot of spam from Leo+Li.com. @gmail.com. So let's filter everything that comes with a +li into the trash. And you won't see it. So it's very handy for filtering. I would suggest if you use Gmail, by the way, Gmail is the only service that does this to my knowledge. Others may offer a similar capability, but I'm pretty sure, don't try this plus thing with other email companies, I guess. Leo+spam@gmail.com. is something I might use when I sign up for stuff. And then I just say, hey, if anything comes to Leo+spam@gmail.com, would you throw that in the trash? Don't put it in my inbox. Good idea, huh? It's one of the reasons I like Gmail. Unfed says that is in the email specification, so most email providers should do it. Okay, good to know. I would find out before you kind of randomly do it, but that's interesting. That's very handy. Spammers might be smart then and say, hey, if it's got a plus, just take out anything after the plus. Nick in Northridge, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
How are you?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was very curious. You see, I live in this apartment building, and my mother lives right across from me in the next apartment. And I know about these power line adapters. And I was curious. Do you think that it would possibly work if I
No.
put it from internet connect? No, you don't think so?
The reason is the power line adapters don't work over a junction box, and because your mom has her own metering, right? She's not paying your power bill. She's on a separate junction box, and so the power line networking just stops. It's a good idea, but wireless would work. So you could set up a Wi-Fi, put it in your window. How far away is her apartment?
I set up an access point, but I was curious whether or not power line adapters would work.
Yeah, no, in general, they don't work across panels.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It's as much for privacy as anything else, right? I don't know if that's an intentional feature or just a technical feature, but it would make sense for privacy not to do that. TechGuyLabs.com, that's the website. If you've got anything to add to some of the things I've said, you can always put comments there. It's also a great way to get into our chat room. Usually 1,000 members strong, great people in there who have lots to say. They're also my brain, so if I forget something, they will remind me, and I thank you, chat room, for doing that. TechGuyLabs.com. That's also the phone number. Every show, audio and video, you can download after the fact. And all of that, by the way, paid for by our great sponsors. That's never a fee, never a subscription, never a charge for that. TechGuyLabs.com. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. We're going to get back to the phones, have more of your calls in just a little bit, just a half an hour left in the show. 8888 Ask Leo's the phone number. 888-827-5536. I promise, no more Moto X talk. We'll take your calls next. Yeah, great twit today. I just found out from Chad. Dvorak, Molly Wood. That by itself would be enough. But then throw in Scott Johnson and Mark Millian of Bloomberg Business Week. And you've got a heck of a show. Yeah, I got an email from EA. I'll show you. Dear Leo Laporte, thank you for contacting Electronic Arts. I'm sorry to know that your Game Force closes on any of the devices you had and tried to access after installing the new Krusty Land update. If the same issue is happening on all the devices, didn't I just say that? And removing and installing the application didn't resolve, it didn't, and I said that in the email. It could be a server or an account issue. Please provide the below information so that I may escalate your issue to our higher level of support. The Origin ID, I had provided that, of course. Email ID, I had provided that, of course. This is funny because I think they do this because, first of all, there's no value to them, but they make it hard enough so that most people just go, oh, screw it. They want the UDID of every device that it's failing on. That's an iPad mini, an iPad 3, an Android Nexus 7, an HTC One, a Galaxy S4, and a Moto X. But I'm going to do this, device type and generation. I will give them all that information. And then I'm sure I'll hear back from Chingakam B. He'll tell me what's wrong. I know what I did. I'm pretty sure I know what happened. So there was a big update, Krusty Land, and I downloaded it on my iPad, and I played with it for a while. And I built Krusty Land, and I added a lot of stuff and so forth. Then I went home, and without thinking, I launched my Nexus 7. Launched the game on my Nexus 7. Hadn't been updated. Now, normally, on Tapped Out, it will say, oh, you haven't updated. We update first. But it didn't this time. It launched my land without the update. And so, and actually, after it launched, I went, oh, shoot. And then I went over to, there's a little transporter that gets you to Krusty Land. And I went over to where that transporter was, and it was an empty space. And I thought, uh-oh. So I immediately exited out. And after that, it never worked again. Fortunately, I've got Chingacom on the case, so I'm safe. Yeah, I think combining Krusty Land with Springfield caused the problem. And there's a lot of people, but you know what? There's people all along. This game is the most buggy game ever. If you look at the forums. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Back to the phones we go. And it is Eric in Reno. Hi, Eric. Leo Laporte.
Hey, Leo.
Hey.
I actually have two questions. The first is I bought the Nintendo Wii U. And
really? You're the one. Congratulations. How do you like it?
It's amazing. It's got something that I feel like a lot of the other consoles don't. just with the cool tablet-like controller.
Yeah, so the Wii U was something you hold in your hand. It's like a tablet, but it interfaces with the game on the big screen. What game do you play with the Wii U?
I play a lot of Nintendo Land, which is just a lot of reinterpretations of Nintendo franchises as like theme park mini games.
Oh, cool. Cool. So what's the question? Because I'm not an expert on the Wii U. I played with it at E3, but I haven't actually purchased one.
My question is, I actually have a surround sound system, but I have no way to hook it up to my Wii U because all Nintendo put on the back there for output is an HDMI port.
Right. And audio comes through HDMI. So what you need, in fact, most up-to-date TVs would do this, is you need that and I do this on my Panasonic Viera. It may be just that your TV doesn't have this capability, but your TV should say, oh, I'm getting audio from the Wii U. Well, do you plug it into an AV receiver or do you plug it into TV directly?
Currently, I'm plugging it into the TV directly, but...
So if you plugged it into an AV receiver, you wouldn't have any problem, right? Because the AV receiver would separate the video and the sound, send the video to the TV, send the sound to its 5.1 surround sound speakers, problem solved. But it still can be done if you put the HDMI in the TV. What you need to do is connect... What are you using to power the 5.1 surround sound? Do you have an amp?
I do not have an amp.
Okay. What do you then... How does it work? Tell me how your 5.1 works. It's connected to the TV via what?
It's connected to the TV via basically you run the AV cables through it, and then I honestly don't know too much about surround sound stuff.
Yeah. So in order for the surround sound to work, something has to decode the 5.1 or 7.1 or even 11.1 surround information and say, you go there, you go there, you go there. The decoder can be an AV receiver, or if your TV supports surround sound, it can be the TV itself. But then the TV will have to drive 6, 8, or 12 speakers. So I don't know if your TV does support surround sound. If it does, then you should be golden. If you're so that's the problem. Is something's decoding. You need to get the undecoded audio from the Wii U into that so that it can understand it. For instance, if you have a little amplifier that powers the 5.1 speakers, it will probably have an optical cable in. You could go optical out of your TV in to the surround sound thing. The TV would recognize, oh, I'm getting audio and video over this HDMI cable, which it is. I'm going to send the audio to the optical output. TVs are designed to do that. You might have to go into your settings and say, I want audio out. Best way to do this, though, by far, get an AV receiver. If you have multiple HDMI inputs, they go each of them into the AV receiver, and then one HDMI cable goes from the receiver into your TV. And the receiver does the decoding, it sends it out to the speakers, it powers the speakers, etc., etc., etc. Inexpensive to get an AV receiver. Denon is good. My favorite is Onkyo as well. Oh, I have both. Onkyo, and they have inexpensive Onkyos. So any AV receiver should handle this properly. That's the issue. Something has to decode the surround from the Wii U. Uriel, Long Beach, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Uriel.
Oh.
Hey. Hello.
Yeah, it's Gary in Buffalo.
Well, I'll talk to you instead then. Uriel, you'll next. I pushed the wrong button. No, I mean, I actually pushed the right button. I read the wrong announcement. Hey, Gary in Buffalo, how the hell are you? Let's just start all over. Gary in Buffalo, you're next.
I'm doing fine. I ventured into tablet land. And
you're not alone, by the way. Supposedly, we're in the post-PC era.
Apparently. But, I got there by your recommendation. Got a Nexus 7.
You got the new one?
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
Oh.
Nice. But I'll tell you what, it had a problem with it. That Google, when I called them, said they never heard of it before. But if I Google the problem, there's 16,000 responses coming.
Oh yeah. You see, Google doesn't read the internet as much as it ought to. They're so busy these days. They really ought to check what is the problem?
Oh, it said system UID is inconsistent. It said I got to wipe my system. And then below that, it was funny because it said I'm feeling lucky. And if you press that,
Wait a minute. What said it? The tablet said, "Hey, you've got an inconsistent system UID."
Yeah, when you started it up, that's what it would say.
And it gave you a button that said, "I'm feeling lucky."
Yeah, and if you press that, it would just start up normally. It gave you a warning saying, you might become unstable, but then it gave you the choice to continue by "I'm feeling lucky." So.
I have no idea what that means.
Like I said, there's 16,000 references to it, and they're all the same thing. Just everybody says wipe your data and restart, and it goes away.
Yeah, I would. That's probably the best thing to do. You know that there is a setting in the settings that says I think it's I can't remember if it's storage or security, but just redo it.
But here's my question: I'm on the way to getting this tablet. I bought a cheaper one before this about a week ago, and ended up taking it back. But in the course of playing with that other one, I couldn't get Hulu to work, and Hulu said, "Gee, it might be your modem." So I went and I had my own cable modem that I bought probably 5 years ago, a Motorola, and it's worked fine. And instead, I went.
Hey, is you got the Wi-Fi Nexus 7, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm looking at some of these inconsistent UID messages just to see if we can track it down. Go ahead. Continue on. I'm sorry.
So anyways, I went in and picked one up from my cable company, Time Warner, one of their modems, which was a DOCSIS 3, and it didn't seem to change anything, and then that's why I went and bought a different tablet, and that's what the problem was. The old tablet, that cheap Archos tablet, was...
Hulu blocks mobile browsers.
The Hulu Plus, though, was working on it. I have the Hulu Plus.
And it was working?
It wouldn't work on the Archos, and they thought...
Oh, Arcos. Yeah, I love Arcos, but boy, they have problems because they don't include all the codecs. You're much better off with the Nexus 7.
So then I got the new modem, and everything seemed to work fine. It actually seems to be giving me reporting back much higher upload and download speeds than I'm paying for. But I didn't notice any difference in performance.
That's good. Don't say anything. DOCSIS 3 should do that, by the way.
All right. Well, that was good. So anyways, what happened then yesterday, of course, they get the announcement that Time Warner is almost doubling the rental on the modem. So I decided, well, I'm going to go buy a new one then.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at two. They're both Motorola's. And the only difference I can see from looking on the net is that one of them has 8 channels and the other one only has 4.
Yeah, I don't think that matters. I actually bought, instead of buying a Motorola, oh, wait a minute, Motorola's bought Aris. I bought an Aris, but I guess it is Motorola now.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I like it. I've been very happy with my Aris modem. The nice thing is you don't have to pay the rental to the cable company. You just own it. I bought it because I wanted a more up-to-date one than the rental would be. I think you're fine. I don't think it 8 channels is going to be better, but it's going to be limited probably by the cable company, not by the modem. Aris is fine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The UID sounds like maybe he restored from somewhere. Oh, it's the other way around. That's right. When Google bought it, Motorola Mobility, they got out of the cable modem business. So there's plain Aris and there's Motorola Aris. Let me look at what I bought. Because I've had no trouble with it at all. Yeah, see, the surfboard is a Motorola. I'll have to look at my Amazon purchases. I can't tell which one I bought. But he wants 8, right? 8 channel? In general, more is better? Mo better? Let's look at what I bought in 2012. I love Amazon. I can always find something I bought way back when. Oh, there's too many pages. Do they have a search? Search your orders. Look at that. I bought the Touchstone DOCSIS 3 cable modem in March. I've had no trouble with it. It's been very reliable. Use it with Comcast. I'm not sure I would get the Motorola part. Reviews are good. Sounds like some people got bad ones. Great modem when it works. Well, that's true of everything, isn't it? If it works, it's going to be good. You absolutely should upgrade. The new Nexus 7 is better in so many respects. I have the old Nexus 7. Loved it. But the new one, the screen alone, is worth upgrading for. Yeah, I use the Anker Qi style, Qi charger on the Nexus 7. It's awesome. Where is it? Just go back to my orders. Your orders. So it's nice because when I go to bed, I put the Nexus 7 on that, and it just charges it up. I get all-day battery life with Wi-Fi on all the time. And I use it a lot. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the last section of the show, last segment. Thanks to Pete, who's been running the board this weekend. Nathan had the day off. Thanks also to Heather Hammond and her friend Kim, who together have answered all the calls. Every single call you've heard on the show has been answered by those two. Somebody wants to know if Kim's single in the chat room.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Well, no, I answered. Yeah, you got that. But I fended it off.
Is that right?
Fended it off, yes.
No one ever asked if I was single that I know of.
Should I share that with the world? Are you? Do you care?
Yes, and yes.
And how about Kim? Both of you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What's wrong with men today?
That's what we want to know.
I swear. Two very attractive, smart, talented women.
What is wrong with
Shocking. Shocking. Uriel in Long Beach, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Finally got you. Hi, Uriel.
Hi, Leo. Pretty much, I want to go ahead and do away with cable. They're getting really too expensive.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't nowadays?
And the channels that I really want to watch, now they put them in a separate package. So
yeah, that's awful. They did a survey of what kinds of companies do you hate the most? And, and cable's always on top. In fact, as I remember, the last time I read a survey, the only thing worse than the cable company was a heart attack. So let's not have either.
Yeah. But thing is, I have internet with them, and pretty much that's my main focus because I do have an Xbox. I am a gamer.
Yeah, you want the internet. And frankly, cable internet, in many cases, is the fastest internet you can get.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably, at least the last time I checked, your cable company probably will give you plain internet. They might charge you extra. They might give you a $10 a monthly charge additional. And frankly, I don't see any problem with that.
Well, pretty much they wanted to go ahead and charge me for the just internet themselves, like at least $70 due to the fact that I guess they still have to keep the actual cable line there.
Of course they keep the cable line. They're not going to take it out.
Yeah, exactly.
You think they're going to send somebody, oh, you're not having cable? Well, let's just take that line out until somebody else wants it. They never take it out. What are they talking about? These companies, hard to believe.
Yeah, I know. So pretty much,
we're going to keep charging you because we got to leave the line in. Well, of course they're leaving the. Well, yeah, you oughta. Yeah. So yeah, you in most areas you have two choices. You have cable or get internet from via the phone lines. Those are the two big fat pipes into your house.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not doing the phone line because I did have Verizon, and I recently moved, and where I had it, of course, they don't have any files where I live. And I moved recently, literally I moved like 5 blocks, and now I get like 2 download speeds, like 2 megabytes.
I understand now the problem. Uriel's spoiled. You had Fios.
No, I didn't have Fios.
Oh, all right.
But I mean, I was getting better connection, even though I live like 5 blocks away.
Yeah.
I was getting.
Oh, and it's very sensitive to distance, and not just to distance, but the quality of the copper. So if this new house doesn't have the same internal wiring as the old one, that can make a difference.
Yeah, so that made me switch to get Charter, and get the cable. But now, pretty much, I really don't need the cable too much or anything like that, because I mean, I'm pretty much seeing everything either through Hulu, Netflix, or anything like that. But I really need the internet. And I know you're always advertising like DSL Extreme. But I looked it online, but I guess in my neighborhood, they only give about 6 megabytes, I think.
Yeah, it's the same problem because just like your phone company, there that 5 blocks makes a difference. You're that much farther than the central office. And DSL is very, very sensitive to distance from the central office. So it sounds like your choice is, and this is why, by the way, consistently the United States ranks 8th or 9th in the world for internet service and average speeds. It's very poor because the FCC gave 2 companies a total monopoly, the phone company and the cable company. And when there's no competition, guess what? You pay more for less. So in this case, I don't know what kind of choices you have. You might look and see if there's a wireless provider. That's about the only other choice. Otherwise, your cable company's got you, don't they? That's a lot of money, $70. You better get very high-speed internet for $70. That's a lot of money. It's a shame. It's really a shame. Joe, Chickasaw, Washington. Hello, Joe.
Howdy.
Howdy.
So I have the original Nexus 7, and I saw there's the Android 4.3 update waiting for me.
Yes, do it.
To apply. What kind of good things are in there? I know they fixed the app signature bug, and apparently the deleting files improved.
The most important thing from your point of view is they've added a feature called Trim to the operating system, and that means because all of these tablets are running on solid-state storage, flash chips, they have a problem. They get slower over time. It's kind of in the nature of flash chips and the way data is written to flash chips. Operating systems like Windows and OS X have Trim built in, and they'll automatically clean up and speed up these flash drives over time. The original Nexus 7 didn't, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but I sure did on I had the original Nexus 7. Great deal, $200. I loved it. But by the time it was about 8 months old, you would noticeably sluggish. As soon as you download the 4.3 update and let it sleep overnight, because it doesn't do this when you're using it. It has to be on Wi-Fi and plugged in. But once it's done, it will speed the whole thing gets fixed. Now, there are other things. You have multiple user logins. There's a lot of nice features. I can think of no reason not to put 4.3 on. There's no compatibility issues that I've noticed. And I tell you, just for that reason alone, on an old, particularly on an old Nexus 7, upgrade to 4.3. I didn't have any file deletion issues or anything like that. I loved the Nexus 7. I love the new one even more. Somebody in the chat room said, should I upgrade? Well, if you've got $229 around, yes. The screen is spectacular. It's the highest resolution screen on any tablet of that size. It's fast. It's a great gaming device. I'm a big fan. The Nexus 7 is an amazing deal. I think one of the reasons people were saying, hey, the Moto X is overpriced is because Google's selling a Nexus 4 phone for $300 and this Nexus 7 tablet for $229. When Motorola says, well, we want $600 for this phone, people go, wait a minute. Aren't you Google? But remember, there's a difference between what Google's doing and what Motorola's doing. Motorola has to be a profitable hardware company. Google, and I've mentioned this before, and it's one of the reasons Apple has a big challenge. Apple, like Motorola, needs to sell hardware at a profit. Google and Amazon don't. They can sell the gadget at a loss. Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, said, we don't need to make money when we sell the tablet, the Kindle HD, because we make money every time you use it. When you buy books, movie, TV shows, if you just use the internet, Google makes money. So they have a huge advantage. They're essentially selling hardware, I believe, at cost. That's why the Nexus 7 is such a deal, $229, and, worth it. Really worth it. And I think the market for the used 2012 Nexus 7 is probably good enough that you could get, $50 or $60. Try Gazelle, our advertiser. They're buying them. I forgot what it was. I think it was $50. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I've had a great time. I hope you have too. Each and every weekend, I'll answer your tech questions. We'll talk the tech news and have some fun too. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'll see you next week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows and Windows Weekly, Macintosh and Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.